He's shooting for a national championship.
Another season of college football on ABC. Backer U has another star pupil majoring in destruction with a minor in intimidation in hopes of returning Penn State to the head of the nation's class. Today the lesson toughens against a Heisman hopeful whose name fits the trophy like an old dust cover. It's the first test of the season lying ahead as the Wildcats invade the Lions' homeroom in Happy Valley. It's the 10th annual Pigskin Classic presented by the Principal Financial Group, and what a way to start the year. Number 3 Arizona against the number 4 Nittany Lions of Penn State. Hi again, everybody. I'm Brad Nessler, and we welcome you to ABC Sports' 34th consecutive year of college football. Ironically enough, the same number of years that Joe Paterno has been the head coach here at Penn State. They went 9-3 last year. Expectations run higher this season. The opponent today is Arizona, 12-1. They finished with their highest national ranking last year. Preseason game? I hardly think so. Don't tell these two teams that anyway. Both these teams have dreams of the Nokia Sugar Bowl in New Orleans January 4th to cap the BCS in the national championship here on ABC. Quite a way to start the final season of the century here on ABC Sports. Normally we go to our studio in New York. Our studio's with us today. Here's John Saunders and Terry Bowden. Guys.
Brad, glad to be here. ABC Sports presents Burger King the Rose Bowl. They might meet again there. John Saunders alongside Terry Bowden, former head coach at Auburn. Now, in this business, Terry, we spend a lot of time preparing, but I don't think anybody spent as much time as you've spent coming from the first family of college coaching.
John, it's got to be an advantage up here with you, having spent all my life down on the football field. My dad was a head coach the day I was born. I've sat around the breakfast table every day of my life talking football. I've been a head coach Division III, II, 1AA, and Division I. I was undefeated in '93. This past year, I had to have a tough resignation. But this year, Florida State still got Bobby Bowden, and he's shooting for a national championship. My brother Tommy's down at Clemson, and he's trying to turn that program around. But I'm here with you. We're going to have a whole lot of fun.
And it should be an outstanding game. Number 3 against number 4. The Heisman Trophy, you want to talk about it during game number 1? Well, trunk candidate, this guy can pile up the yardage. LeVar Arrington, maybe a Heisman from the defensive side. Kickoff when we come back.
In State College, Pennsylvania, awaiting the arrival of their 4th-ranked Nittany Lions. This area is wound up. So are we. My partner for the 8th year is Gary Danielson. What a way to start it, G. And Arizona comes in here, I think, with really one of the unique stories in college football.
You know, Brad, you're right. It's a 2-quarterback system. Used to be a bad plan, but these guys are making it work because they're so unique. You know, there's some great stories in college football. Joe Potts, 50th year. Ron Dane's going to take a run at Ricky Williams. But there's no better story in college football than these two. One's a baseball player. Instead of hitting curves, he's going to toss some curves this year. And the other's a basketball player. Instead of using a crossover dribble to beat Mateen Cleaves, he's going to cross up defensive secondary people. Keith Smith is the baseball player. He had a great year in 1998. He really became the #1 guy. But Ortiz Jenkins is the factor that comes off the bench. Both will play. We will see both today, and Jerry Sandusky, the defensive coordinator, is going to have to stop him.
All right, the Nittany Lions of Penn State have taken the field, or are ready to. 9-3 a year ago, but all 3 of those losses came in the Big Ten. They come in this year as the Big Ten favorite. He's still got the fire, doesn't he? 50 years on the sidelines in his 34th year as head coach. There's a lot of cheering, Gary, right now. Will they change to boos for Kevin Thompson, the senior co-captain quarterback?
Well, Brad, you know, Joe Paterno has spent the whole offseason trying to protect Kevin Thompson. But that's over today. Kevin Thompson has to take the quarterback position. If this team is going to go on and beat Michigan, Ohio State, and the likes of whoever they're in a bowl game, he's going to have to come through. The question is, will his senior year be more like a Kerry Collins senior year, or will it be more like a Wally Richardson senior year with the disappointment? Only that guy, number 16, will have to do it. The teammates are ready for him to take leadership. They voted him captain.
He's going to lead him out as captain right now for the coin toss. Bill Athan is our referee, and he's with the senior vice president of the Principal Financial Group, Rob Hill, for the coin toss. Let's head down to the field.
Rob Hill of the Principal Financial Group, a Pigskin Classic corporate sponsor. Right here. Right here. This is
that ball from the ground.
It's tails. Yeah. You're going to choose. 31 chooses tails. It is tails. University of Arizona has won the toss and defers their option.
Arizona has won the toss and elected to defer its option until the second half.
Arizona wins the toss and defers. We won't defer, though, to the third man in our broadcast crew. Let's go to Lynn Swan. Swanee?
Brad, thank you very much. You know, Joe Paterno has a reputation of always downplaying the team and the individual talent of his team. But he couldn't stop the star of the linebacking corps who wears number 11, double aces, LeVar Arrington. The media has been all over him, and rightfully so. He has all the talent, the size, the speed, the ability, the heart. But if he's going to be the impact player he was last year, he has to improve. Now, that won't be so easy. You see, every team he plays is going to have a book on him. They're going to give him double teams. They're going to give him special blocking, the kind of attention none of us want. So the question will be, can he improve in the face of that? We're going to find out when we kick it off this afternoon, Brad.
Boy, those double aces might as well be a big target on his chest. Two of the deans of coaching in college football in their respective conferences. Dick Tomey comes in off a 12-1 season last year, the best ever Pac-10 Coach of the Year in his 13th year now, and he is a good one. And Joe Paterno, well, he is Penn State, and he is college football. 50th year here at Happy Valley. 9-3, disappointed with that, but they finished with a win in the Outback Bowl over Kentucky. But the group here today, 97,000 strong, expecting much more. So Arizona will kick. Larry Johnson and Kenny Watson waiting on it.
Brad, you see Joe run out on the field. He was more excited than the freshman out there. I'll tell you, that's how that guy stays young.
He still runs like a freshman. Mark McDonald's got it teed up. The 10th annual Pigskin Classic from State College, Pennsylvania is all set. College football underway. High short kick. Larry Johnson from the 6. Took a big time hit right at the 20-yard line. Antonio Pierce got down there to make the hit. Here's a look at the Principal Financial Group starting lineup. The big uns up front for Penn State. McKenzie, Tincher, Spano, Cole, and Blick. Spano making his first start at center. Shafi Fields and Corey Jones. Underrated possibly at the wide receiver spot. Tony Stewart is a tight end. And in the backfield joining Kevin Thompson, the senior Cordell Mitchell. We'll also see Eric McCoo. Mike Saramelli is the fullback. And it's first down Penn State from the 20-yard line. Straight ahead. And a nice run out to the 26-yard line by Cordell Mitchell. Let's take a look at the Desert Swarm Arizona defense. The front four, Robertson, Frazier, Jopru, and Tafoya, who they expect to be their best pass rusher. Their linebacking core, a strong one, led by a Butkus candidate in Marcus Bell inside. Deshaun Polk and Scooter Sprott are outside. There's no Chris McAllister in the secondary anymore. Leland Gales, Kelvin Hunter on the corners. Payne and Jones are the safeties. Second down and 4 for the Nittany Lions. Only about 2 yards this time for Mitchell, and Scooter Sprott put the hit on him. It'll bring up third down and 2.
Well, we talked about it. We talked about Joe Paterno saying, you know, it wasn't Kevin Thompson's fault a year ago. The receivers didn't make plays. We didn't have the great blocking. But, you know, with that position, quarterback position, there's no hiding. I mean, you're out there, everybody, 97,000 people now. Here comes third and 2. What's going to happen?
Timeout's going to happen. So on the opening possession, the Nittany Lions forced to take a timeout. We'll take one as well. Just underway. 13:48 remaining in the first quarter. Joe Paterno will talk to his quarterback, and we'll be back. Timeout with a 3rd and 2 coming up.
And we talked L.A., LeVar Arrington, number 11. But if you want to watch some linebacker play, don't turn away when Arizona's on defense. Marcus Bell right there, one of the best linebackers you'll see. The guy's just destruction, play after play.
Thinking about a blitz, Arizona. Deshaun Polk down in a track stance. Long count on 3rd and 2. End around is coming. And they've got it. Out there, Shafi Fields. across the 40 and down the sideline out of bounds at the 48-yard line. Good for 20 yards and a first down. Well, Joe said he was going to attack more on offense this year.
A year ago, Joe told us that he thought he had a defense that could ride all the way through the football season. Until he had to play Michigan and some of Wisconsin, the guys did not come through. So this year he says, I'm going to open it up a bit. I'm to blame for last year. I'm going to use all of my skilled players on offense, tight end, wide receivers, running backs, and the quarterback. And you can see right there a surprise play for Arizona.
So Shafi Fields in the slot there picked up 20. And it's first down at the 48-yard line. McCoo is in there, and it's tossed out to him by Thompson. Nice move by Eric McCoo. And he's inside the 45 to the 44 in Arizona territory. It's going to bring up second down and about 2. The Dell Game Solutions for this one. And we talked to Joe Paterno about what it might take to win this season opener.
I think we've got to be a little bit more aggressive, make some big plays on defense, and then offensively, obviously, we've got to have a better passing game than we've had. We've got to be a little bit more aggressive. We've got to be able to come from behind, those kinds of things.
Not bad with the passing game there on the swing pass to McCoo that picked up 8. Second down and 2 at the Arizona 44-yard line. Here comes a blitz, the give inside, going to be close to a first down as Mike Caramelli, the fullback, looks to be about a half-yard shy.
You know, that's really interesting. In a big ball game, Joe Paterno is known as a game coach, and what he stresses is right. You know, play your own game. You know, it's fun to play in these games. That's why we came to Penn State. That's why we came to Arizona. Dick Tomey told us the same thing. Hey, if you don't want to play in these games, go do something else.
McCoo and Harris now in the backfield, and McCoo splits out into the slot on the right-hand side on a third down and 1. Harris hitting the backfield, broke away, a stiff arm, a first down and out of bounds at about the 37-yard line. There's a guy that's had so many injury problems, you feel good to see him get out there and get the first down.
Aaron Harris is the guy that Fran Ganner would like to see in the one-back set when they want to run the ball. 2 reasons. He's a good blocker, and you can see right there he's a capable runner. Remember in 1997, Aaron Harris was the breakout runner for this football team. As you said, he went through some injuries. Last year he wasn't 100%. Every player we talked to on Penn State said they think he's ready this year.
Penn State, a good-looking march on their opening drive. They've moved it to the 37-yard line of Arizona. Play action. Thompson sets up, plenty of time. Deep middle, got Fields inside the 20, and he broke away. Shafi Fields, touchdown. That'll give your malign quarterback a shot of confidence. 37 yards, touchdown.
Nothing could have been better for the Penn State football team right here. Their quarterback, Kevin Thompson, completes 2 passes. Their wide receivers, who were so much maligned a year ago, catch a ball, break a tackle, and score points. You couldn't have called a better opening series for this Penn State football team. Arizona now will have to react, and we will watch.
An 80-yard march. Fields with 2 huge plays, a 20-yard end around and the touchdown catch. And Travis Forney will try to make it 7-0 Penn State, and does. Kevin Thompson voted captain by his teammates. He said it's the biggest honor of his career, and he got it done on the opening drive. Took a big shot, but it's Penn State by a touchdown. Drive, as you will see. Penn State leads by a touchdown with 12:04 to go in the first quarter. And there's Leland Gales along with Kelvin Hunter, the 2 corners who were victimized during the course of that 80-yard drive. First by an end around, then by the touchdown catch, 37 yards to that young man, Shafi Fields.
And remember, one of the questions that the Arizona defense would have this year is who was going to replace Chris McAllister. Right. That one's still unanswered.
Travis Forney has it teed up, and he'll kick away to Leo Mills and Bobby Wade. And yes, the starters do play on kick coverage. That's LeVar Arrington. Here's the kick. Wade at the 7. The freshman. A lot of speed, but nowhere to use it there. Downed at the 18-yard line. Let's take a look at the touchdown.
We talked about in big games what Joe Paterno likes to do. It's keep it simple. Here's Choppy Fields right here. Crossing route, little play action pass. Right there, one busted tackle in the secondary that leads all the way. Kelvin Hunter missed his tackle. Choppy Fields makes a play.
Arizona huddled on the sideline, and they bring it right to the line of scrimmage where they'll start for the first time in 99 from their own 19-yard line. That's Keith Smith at quarterback, and it's a full house backfield. Trung candidate, the tailback. Smith going to go deep on the first play and got his man across the 45 out near the 48-yard line. Dennis Northcutt on the pass from Smith.
Arizona comes out in a run-type look formation. And, of course, Penn State says, well, 1st and 10, Big Ten. You know, everybody runs the ball on these type of plays. This is Arizona. You get man-to-man on the outside. Let's throw the ball. Our best guy to your best guy. Let's see if we can beat you.
Northcutt, their best receiver last year. Almost 1,000 yards. He's got a first down out at the 47. Play fake to Kennedy. Smith, the sidearm toss, complete. Got a man in the secondary. It's Northcutt again, and he weaves his way all the way down to the 25-yard line. So Arizona striking back quickly. 29 yards and then 28 yards to Dennis Northcutt. Quickly, we better look at the Principal Financial Group starting lineup for Arizona. Freitas, Grace, Wiggins, McFadden, and Sevilla up front for the Wildcats. You've seen a lot of Dennis Northcutt already. Brad Brennan, the other wideout. Manu Maluana is the tight end. In the backfield, Trung candidate. Jim Wendler, Keith Smith at quarterback, and we've seen a lot of him already. Bobby Wade, the freshman, now in there, one of the wide receiver spots. Swing pass to Kennedy. Got a nice block down the front line and out of bounds at about the 18-yard line. David Macklin knocked him out of bounds. Penn State defensively. Courtney Brown may be the best in college football at defensive end. He tied the school record with 11.5 sacks last year with Fleischhauer, Wallace, and Kirpakis. The linebacking core all on the Butkus list. Short inside, Morrison and Arrington outside. We talked about Macklin. He's the best they've got in the secondary at one corner. Anthony King, James Boyd, and Derek Fox round out the secondary. 2nd down and 3. Arizona has quickly answered Penn State's opening march. Arrington thinking about a blitz. Candidate runs the other way past it. Some tough yards, but only got about 1, and it's going to bring up 3rd down and 2.
I think that's going to be one of the interesting things to watch in this football game is how Trung unfolds and whether he has the patience. You look at his average a year ago, 7.3 yards. That's almost unheard of to average that type of breakaway type runs. This year, without Kelvin Ifan, their short yardage back, Arizona and Candidate's going to have more runs of short yardage situations, so that average has to come down.
Here's the full house backfield again. Winnick and Wendler both in there in a power eye. One wide receiver's Northcutt out to the left side. And they will give it to Kennedy, and it's LeVar Arrington with a hit.
That's what I'm talking about, that average. Last year, Candidate isn't even in the game running this situation.
Kelvin Ifan is.
Kelvin Ifan's in the game. Here's number 11. Not hard to find the All-American. L.A. right here comes in. And you know what? I kind of got a little handle on this guy. L.A., showtime.
Showtime.
Right? Showtime.
That's his first showtime type play. Mark McDonald to try a 40-yard field goal. And he missed it. A great looking drive before it was destructed by number 11.
You know, Brad, I still think, okay, didn't get any points for Arizona. You go down there, the crowd cheers a missed field goal, but I think Arizona on the sideline feels good about themselves. You know, they've read all year about how good this defense is. They just marched down the field pretty easily and said, all right, we'll get other opportunities. Now it's the defense's turn for Arizona. They got to kind of hold serve right here. This game can't get out of hand early.
Penn State this time will start from its own 18-yard line. Cordell Mitchell back in as you look behind him in the Nittany Lion backfield. Caramelli goes out on a wing. First down. Thompson perfect in the opening drive. Mitchell breaks through and out to the 30. Richard Casey in at quarterback.
Yeah. you're so busy looking at all the possibilities of running the ball for Penn State and talking about the two quarterback rotation for Arizona. The first team to make a change at quarterback is Penn State. Rashard Casey, you look at his stats, forget those stats a year ago. He was not ready. This is a guy that's ready to play this year.
Shafi Fields, another end around, and he broke free. Shafi Fields into the secondary. He's gone. Touchdown, Penn State.
When we came into State College and talked to the offensive coordinator, Fran Ganter, he told us candidly he felt that the outcome of the game would depend squarely on how the wide receivers performed. He said, we have asked our guys to do a number of things. They have come through, but what they haven't done is given us the extra. What we've seen in 2 offensive drives, Gary, is the offensive players, the receivers, not just making catches, but breaking tackles and now making the big plays.
Shafi Fields is having a field day right now. A touchdown catch, a touchdown run. 14-0 Penn State. For Penn State so far, 14-0. And Dick Tomey has got to be thinking, maybe I can find a judge in this crowd and ask for a change of venue or something.
Yeah, you know what, though? Pac-10, this is nothing.
That's nothing.
This is nothing. I mean, they score like this all the time. This is just, that isn't even first recess period yet in the Big Ten.
Travis Forney to kick. Mills and Wade await on the other end. And Wade has to let this one go, and it goes out of bounds. Penalty marker as it just went out at about the 1-yard line.
Again, a simple little play by Penn State that gets a huge. Here comes Shafi Fields coming across the screen right here. It's going to be an outside handoff. Nice block by Eric Cole, who gets his man. But watch what happens in big games. Over pursuing, guys trying to make big hits. There's Hunter right there, over pursuing, trying to knock people down. That's how big plays happen in big games or early plays in the season. So far, that's really been the storyline for Arizona. They're out there running around 100 miles an hour. Penn State's taking their time, and the big plays are slanting towards Penn State.
You saw Shafi Fields on the sideline. He has 127 of Penn State's 157 yards already. T. Smith from the shotgun. Play fake. Zips it out to Northcutt, who's buried immediately. Anthony King puts the stop on him in his tracks.
Anthony King says, you got me on the fade, but I get you on the quick screen. We're even. This is a bad block by the wide receiver right here. You see it coming out. Leonard should have had the cleanup block, but King just kind of crashes the party.
Malosi Leonard with a no block there. 2nd down and 10. Brad Brennan in there. 3 wideouts. Smith fires complete. Got it to his tight end across the 40 out to the 43. Manu Malui-Una with the catch and the first down. So Arizona comes right back with the air game. They are short of the first down, I beg your pardon, by about 2 yards.
Saw Keith Smith there. That's the play that really is undefensible if you're Jerry Sandusky and trying to match this Arizona offense. You can draw up all the plays, have all the playbooks, do all the stunts, but when the quarterback can throw sidearm deep in the hole like the former shortstop can, he's going to make plays.
Well, they came up short on a 3rd and 2 in their opening drive. They've got another one here, and they're going to throw for it, and they've got it. Winnick out of the backfield, and he's down in Penn State territory at the 44-yard line. Needed 2 and got 12.
Stop by number 27, David Macklin.
When you talk about Keith Smith, I mean, he had the highest percentage passing record in the country, didn't have enough attempts to really qualify, but in a rotating system with Ortiz Jenkins, he came back 8 in the games.
He's again got 3 wideouts out there on a first down at the Penn State 43. Trung candidate Oh, he is finding the sledding tough right now. No gain on the play. Justin Kirpakis made the first hit.
Kirpakis and Brandon Short, the captain that time. And that's what I'm talking about, the patience that Candidate has to have in this season. You know, Brad, last year Candidate had a big year for Arizona, but he didn't have his second 100-yard rushing game until the 9th game of the season, and then he went 4 out of 5. So he has to be patient, trust the runs, and understand that things ain't going to happen over just real quickly for him.
And understand that Penn State didn't allow a 100-yard rusher last year either. Out of the shotgun. Empty backfield with the exception of Keith Smith. Slip screen out there to Wade, the freshman. A lot of dancing and not enough of going forward inside the 40 to the 39-yard line.
Well, Brad and Gary, you mentioned the fact that Penn State didn't allow a 100-yard rusher, and that seems to be an indication of what both teams have decided so far early in this ball game, and that is they respect their defenses against the run so much. Neither team has attempted to run a great deal. They're putting the ball in the air, but I would suspect that would change for Penn State if they maintain a strong lead, Brad.
Absolutely. Two touchdowns spotted already, and Keith Smith's off to a good start, 7 for 7, but he needs almost 7 more here. 3rd and 6. Surveys the field and on the move, throws a dart complete to his tight end, but he's short of the first down. Manu Maliuna, his second catch down to the 35, but it's 4th down and 2.
Yeah, 7 for 7, now 8 for 8 from your quarterback, but the important number is 0-14.
Yeah.
See him come out. Kit's the only guy could. Great defense. I think it's Mac Morrison comes up and delivers, as LeVar Arrington likes to call him, the bully of the linebacking core. Comes up and shows why that nickname fits.
A little bit of a thought for a long field goal. Instead, Chris Palak will punt it away. High kick. Arizona trying to get down and cover it, but this one well into the end zone. And so Penn State with a 2-touchdown lead is going to bring it out to the 20-yard line. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by the Principal Financial Group. For all your financial goals, plan ahead, get ahead. Valvoline. You can always tell the guys who use Valvoline. Burger King. When you have it your way, it just tastes better. And the Ford Motor Company. Better ideas. As you look in on the parking lot that is full of everything from cars to RVs, you're getting our aerial coverage today. Brought to you by Tostitos. Some great shots above Beaver Stadium. Rashard Casey in at quarterback. Second series for him for Penn State.
Let's see if they give him a short pass now to get his legs.
He's back to throw. And his legs are what he's going to use. Scrambles around, buys some time, and fires. Complete. First down across the 30. John Gilmore, the tight end. Well, that shows you what Rashard Casey can give you.
See, I think that's what Penn State is looking back about right now. They've got an aggressive defense, a defense. I think the Wildcat defense is out to prove that they're better than the Penn State's defense, and they could stop the run and stuff them and show that Pac-10 football is just as tough as Big Ten football. So they're over pursuing. They're making plays not within the defense, so keep them off balance. Here's another first down pass. Casey, with his athletic ability, comes back. Perfect execution, a perfect throw.
And a first down out at the 41-yard line. McCoo was the motion man. Here's the give to Aaron Harris. Harris, nice move. Ran over one man and now down the sideline. Aaron Harris still on his feet. They're going to say he's out of bounds back at the 23. Kelvin Hunter's having a tough day. Got victimized first in the passing game and had to be at the end of that thing.
You know, what is Principal is our host of this game, right? I wonder if they sell insurance, because Kelvin Hunter right there is a guy that's in market. He's been in the middle of the action through the whole game of this thing, and I'm not sure if he even went out. It was very close.
Aaron didn't think so. Neither did 97,000 fans. Luckily for Arizona, Penn State not in the end zone again yet. First down at the 23. McCoo, the tailback. It's Casey to throw over the middle. A lot of traffic there, but he somehow weaved it in there to Sam Crenshaw. Tomorrow it's college football's back-to-school blitz at Buckeye, Miami. Here, it's 14-0 Penn State in the Pigskin Classic. Second down and a long 5. Straight ahead give. Cordell Mitchell, and Mitchell is close to a first down.
You know, the story emerging is Penn State is going with a young quarterback, Rashard Casey. The interesting story we got from Fran Ganner, who's just to the right of Joe Paterno, is he said, you know, when Rashard got there in practice, every time he scrambled, Joe would be on him like, don't scramble, stay in the pocket. This year, first time he scrambled, Joe says, that's a good job, good job. And he said, Fran said, everybody looked over to Joe like, okay, he's finally got the credit he deserved. Now he's going to let him be a quarterback. And you can see the results. That first pass kind of set the stage for this drive.
3rd and short, Penn State, and Marcus Bell, the All-American candidate linebacker for Arizona, is out of the lineup, shaken up. Meanwhile, his teammates, including Scooter Sprott and Raphael Jones, trying to wrap up Cordell Mitchell short of the first down, but his forward progress is going to give it to him. So all Penn State here in the first 14 minutes of this football game.
And remember, Penn State is doing this against a defense that led the Pac-10 against rush defense. But the question was, well, how big of a factor was Chris McAllister? You could put Chris McAllister out in the corner and basically take half the field away. You're exactly right, Brad. And you can see this year, the corner play has not been good. The tackling has not been good. They've become exposed.
Casey rolls on first down inside the 12, fires high, and is it intercepted? Not quite. Almost picked off by Raphael Jones. You see the back judge say it hit the turf first.
Still like the play calling.
It has been an attack mode for the Penn State offense in this first quarter.
It sure has. And you wonder, and Dick Tomey said, this trip is no big deal. You know, after coaching at Hawaii, getting on an airplane and only going 3.5, 4 hours is no big deal. But remember, it's an early morning game in this time zone for these guys. And to me, it looks like Arizona's a step slow in this game.
Fields and Jones both to the top of your screen. Casey getting some heat, takes off now. Needs a block, cuts back inside to the 5, almost dropped the football. And he's going to have 3rd down and about 3, maybe 4 coming up.
The fear about Rashard Casey when he scrambles is he does not have great ball protection. He carries the ball very low. And usually what happens when a quarterback scrambles, it always happened to me, Brad, you get hit from behind. Say I wasn't fast enough. But Rashard is going to get hit from behind here. Let's look at the ball position. Let's see if he tucks it under. He does it for a while. Kind of flopping it around a bit. You can see what the fear is from Fran Ganner as that ball could pop loose from behind.
Marcus Bell is back in there for Arizona defensively. 3rd down and 4. Casey swing pass to Harris. Got past one man, trying to get there desperately, and I don't think he got the first down. Bell and Polk made the hit, and now the folks here in Happy Valley are saying, go, Joe, go.
Yeah, it's not goal to go, though. Penn State can pick up a first down. I'll tell you what, if they say go, Joe, go, Joe just might run on there and go himself, as fired up as he was for the football game.
4th down and 1.
Right now it is a Happy Valley. And last year it wasn't all peaches and cream here.
No, it wasn't. 9-3, all their losses last year to Big Ten teams. But this season they're the favorite in the Big Ten. They will go on 4th down and a yard. Mitchell, the tailback, behind Ceramello, loose ball. Mitchell has to cover it, and Arizona will take over. Mishandled snap. They never got the play underway.
Brad, you know what really happened on that? Besides the snap, he got his foot stepped on. Rashard Casey, either by the center or the guard. From this angle, let's see if you can see it. You can see it. He tripped over his own lineman. Everybody kind of pinches in right there, and he trips. I'm not sure exactly who. It might have been Eric Cole that he came through. But there you see it. When you have to get 2 quarterbacks ready, both of them have to be accustomed to centers and short yardage situations.
Good news for Arizona is they get the football. The bad news is they get it at their own 7-yard line. And Joe Paterno not happy. An opportunity goes by the boards. They still lead by 14, though, with 1:48 to go first quarter. Candidate on a delay. Draped all over him is LeVar Arrington.
Showtime.
They call him L.A., as Gary said earlier. And LeVar Rashad Arrington's had a good first quarter.
He's one of those players, Brad, you don't even have to circle. If you can't find number 11 on the field, you don't know anything about football and knowing how to find a good player. This guy, your eyes just get glued to him. You can't take him off him every play. You just want to see what he's going to do.
That's what Lynn Swan was talking about before the game. Even though he's a marked man now, he'll be double-teamed a lot. It hasn't seemed to affect him so far in this ball game. A loss of a yard, and it's 2nd down and 11. Here's a swing pass, a dangerous one. Northcutt almost dropped in the end zone by, guess who?
I wonder if we have anything ready on LeVar Arrington. Any stories or anything like that? I got a feeling this guy's for real. Lynn said he might be a marked man this year. I don't think it's going to make any matter. This guy can just play. He's a step faster than everybody. He has great agility, and he makes plays. He's going to make plays all over the field.
That's 3 huge stops for loss already by number 11. And Northcutt almost found himself in the end zone. The forward progress was spotted back out to the 4-yard line. 3rd down and 13. There's the player of the year defensively in the Big Ten last year. Candidate waits for his blockers. Got what he could, but he only got out to the original line of scrimmage. And they'll be punting from the other end, will Arizona, as the first quarter has belonged to the hometown Nittany Lions of Penn State. And a 1 from Happy Valley. They are happy here. 14-0, Penn State. Classic presented by the principal financial groups belonged to Penn State so far. We start the 2nd quarter with the Nittany Lions up 14-0, and Chris Palak in his own end zone set to punt it away for Arizona. Bruce Branch awaits on the other end. Should be great field position for Penn State regardless of what happens here. And they block the football. Penn State's going to have great field position, in fact. Eric Sturdivant, I think, is the guy that got to it, number 58.
The ball was touched back on about the 11 or 12-yard line, and that's where it should be reset. The first time Arizona touched the ball.
Palak talking it over with Dick Tomey.
Coming right in there. Joe said you're exactly right. That's exactly who got the play.
Sturdivant coming right up the middle.
LeVar was there. One guy looks at LeVar. Sturdivant comes right inside. Makes the play.
Sets up the Penn State offense at the 16-yard line. And Kevin Thompson back in at quarterback.
Yeah, like they need help. 18 plays, 231 yards so far.
Wow. Thompson, play action. Fires over the middle and caught by Shafi Fields inside the 10 at the 9. The first quarter, Shafi Fields just took over the field. If you missed it, first he had a 20-yard end around, which set up the first touchdown for Penn State. Kevin Thompson down the middle. The missed tackle by Hunter, and Fields off to the races for the score. Coming back, the second end around of the day, cuts back inside, and he's off to a 70-yard touchdown. That's where we stand, 14-0. 2nd down, a long 3. McCoo trying to go straight up the middle. Stanford Glover from the linebacker position made the stop at about the line of scrimmage.
Hey, Lynn, you talked about Joe Paterno asking the receivers to produce more, but Lynn, it seemed a little bit more than that. It seems to me he challenged his receivers to do more, and that has a big impact, doesn't it?
Well, I think it does. I mean, it's not just asking them, but it's putting it out there on the line saying, look, we expect this, and we need this from you. We're a good offensive team with a good line, but if we're going to be great this year, we need the receivers to make something happen. And obviously, they've accepted the challenge early.
Yeah, you're right.
3rd down and 3. Inside the Arizona 10. Thompson to throw, getting some heat, and down he goes. And again, it was Stafford Glover from the linebacker position. He comes up with a sack. Tafoya got some nice pressure,
You're right. Tafoya got in there first, and then the Glover makes the cleanup on the play. But that's the first time that the Desert Swarm defense really got into the sacking position. 3rd down, passing position. Finally, the Arizona defense had a handle on what Penn State was going to do, and you can see how successful they were. So far in this game, Fran Ganner, the coordinator for Penn State, has kept this balance.
Travis Forney comes in. His numbers from a year ago, including 5 in one game against Michigan State. He'll try to make it 17-0 Nittany Lions, and does. 31-yard field goal. Penn State adds to its total. They come off the field leading 17-0. 17-0. Marcus Bell sitting in the cool zone. Penn State's in the O-zone offensively right now. That was a huge stop, though, by Arizona.
Absolutely. Following the punt right there, if there was ever a time for this Arizona defense to step up and focus at the job on hand, they really did at that time and really kept them in the ballgame. 21-0 could have been death.
Travis Forley's kick. Wade waits on it from the 1. The speedy freshman looking for an opener. Got by one wave and still trying to break free. Got across the 20 to the 21. That was a lot of running just to get to the 21-yard line. Coming up Monday on AB. Leslie will bring you that one Monday. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, and Lynn Swan here with you in Happy Valley at the 20-yard line. Arizona trails 17-0. Ortiz Jenkins in at quarterback for the first time today. And OJ's just going to keep it. And got about 2 yards. Ortiz Jenkins, Gary, we saw him really come of age as a freshman a couple of years ago when Keith Smith was hurt. He just took over this offense.
Yeah, he did. He threw 19 touchdown passes that year in 1997. Actually, when Keith Smith got injured that year, of course, he had Homer Smith as his coach that year. A year later, Dino Babers is now the coordinator. Maybe a little bit of uncomfortableness, but OJ says this year I'm focused. Not only do I know what to do, I know why I should do it, and that's an important thing for him to say.
He's going to work from the shotgun here on 2nd down and 7. And he's just going to straight take off with it. And he got the first down. Had to sort of leap through a tackle at the 32-yard line to pick up the first down. And you want to talk about leaps and bounds. How about in the final 4 seconds against Washington? Airborne, flips and lands in the end zone. One of the great plays in college football last season. And Dick Tomey said that is really where this team started to believe they could be good.
Yeah, absolutely, Brad. Remember, that is the game that Arizona went on the road to beat Washington without Chris McAllister. And that's the one that they said, hey, we can win a game like this against the supposed, champion, the big team in the Pac-10. We can beat anybody.
Well, they're going to need some faith today. They trail by 17. They're going to try and end around Dennis Northcutt. Northcutt waits on his blockers, and he's tripped up. Flag late as David Macklin made the tackle, and it's going to be a holding call, I think, to bring it all back.
I think the referee that time wanted to give Arizona the benefit of the doubt and not call that thing, but it was so obvious that he just had to do it. And it was, he waited and he waited and he waited. He said, all right, I got to call it. I mean, you're grabbing the guy, you're tripping the guy. We just have to do it.
First penalty of the game, not bad considering we've played into the second quarter.
Dick Tomey knows right now that this is the series that he's depending on the two-quarterback system.
On the offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
So still first down as they walk off 10 yards.
We talked about it. We talked about a two-quarterback system, and Dick says it's not a system. It's two great players who respect each other. They know they both can make plays, and they've put the team ahead of their own individual wants. And this is what happens when two guys say, I'm going to put the team first.
There's some advantages to it, obviously.
Yeah, there really are. And everybody looks at the negatives all the time. Things could go wrong, but there are some things that are advantages. For example, just the two wanting to do it provides an example to the team that we want to be, we want the team to win. We're willing to put our stats on the side.
They walk that off from the spot of the foul, which makes it now first down and 24. And again, Ortiz Jenkins just going to take off, and he got ripped down by Jason Wallace.
So we thought about what are the advantages of a two-quarterback system. We kind of wrote them down here. Provide the team an example. I mean, those are the guys everybody's looking at. 50-50 practice time. I like this because, as the season wears on, you got two guys that are ready to play all year, and everybody has confidence that it keeps one guy fresh towards the end of the season. Keith Smith said last year, towards the end of the season, I felt like it was August and September. And, each defensive secondary guy, each person on the defense has to prepare for different styles.
See what kind of style they can come up with on 23 yards to go. It's more than that to go now. Justin Kirpakis just ran right by a block and buries Ortiz Jenkins for a loss of 11.
You know what I think happened there, Brad? Courtney Brown took up almost two blockers on the play. When Courtney Brown is coming, he demands attention, and Kirpakis was able to just come off the corner and make the play. Jenkins had no chance, and it's one of those situations, 3rd and a mile here, that right now OJ's saying, Keith, come on in. Run this one for me.
I'll be thinking quick kick here.
Yeah.
Line of scrimmage is the 9. They need to get to the 43-yard line.
Not a bad idea.
Ortiz Jenkins from the shotgun. Northcutt now in motion, and they're going to call a timeout. They snap the ball. Did they get the timeout called? Yes. They'll blow it dead. As you saw Northcutt come across in motion, there seemed to be some confusion as to where the wideout should be, and at the last moment, Ortiz calls a timeout. Each team has utilized one now.
We talked about the advantages of the 2-quarterback system. There are disadvantages. Let's be honest about that. You know, the media is always going to ask about it. It's something that comes up. The other is, it's great. You know, you got 2 guys, Nitro and Glycerin, both guys out there. They both do things. But when it gets bumpy, those things can explode in your face. So far, it's worked well.
Right now, let's check in with our Aflac trivia question for today. Who are the 3 coaches with more Division 1A victories than Joe Paterno, who has 307 coming into this one? That's our Aflac trivia question. We'll give you the answer a little bit later on, give you time to think about it. Joe is looking down there going, I don't care if I got 307 wins or 407 wins. We're off to a good start here. But he was angry, quite frankly, that they had to kick a field goal earlier instead of picking up another touchdown.
Well, you know, you're always playing against perfection, and you always understand as a coach that, you know, there are good players on the other side. You have a great defense, but you have to give your opponent the benefit of the doubt. He's going to make some plays. I mean, if you're playing baseball, Randy Johnson is going to strike you out sometimes. Right. You may get a home run off him, but they're going to make some plays, and he has to convince his defense out there, Joe does, that you can't completely shut them down. Be ready for them to make some plays and don't react to it too negatively.
I don't know if Arizona needs a home run, but they need at least a triple. It's 3rd and 34. A little slip screen. They got a man out there in Northcutt who keeps his footing, at least gives their punter a little bit of room to breathe. A pick up of 15, and Arizona's going to have to give it up.
Those are the hidden yards of a passing game or an offense that's going to look good for Arizona that mean absolutely nothing. Penn State was willing to give up a 15-yard gain there. So when you look at the stats again to the game, you say, oh, well, look at all these passes we completed. Well, there's one that didn't mean anything.
Chris Palek's first punt was blocked. David Macklin's a guy that knows how to get to it. Sturdivant got the first one. Palek got a good kick on this one. Branch waits on it from the 28-yard line. Got around the first man and lost a football. Who covered it before going out of bounds? Maybe nobody, or maybe he got it back. Out near the 40-yard line, he did. That took a lucky hop for Branch with 8:47 left. First half, Penn State by 17. Packed house at Beaver Stadium in State College, Pennsylvania. Penn State leading 17-0 here in the Pigskin Classic. With Gary Danielson and Lynn Swan, I'm Brad Nessler. Nice to have you along with us this afternoon as we kick off our 34th year of college football on ABC. And 3rd-ranked Arizona trailing number 4 Penn State right now. It's been all Nittany Lions, and they've got it back after the punt at the 40-yard line. Johnson in front of McCoo in the Penn State backfield. Now they shift to a dual set. Kevin Thompson and Rashard Casey have both played quarterback. It's Thompson right now, wants to throw a swing to Johnson on the run with nobody in front of him. Johnson cuts back inside the 40, picks up his blockers. He might go. Touchdown, Penn State. Everything working for the Nittany Lions. Kevin Thompson, second touchdown toss of the day.
And considering his dad, Larry Johnson, is defensive ends coach, I hope he was watching. I hope he wasn't drawing up anything on the sidelines, because son gets in the game, and the whole talk about that, I think that's dad and son hugging down there right now, I think, from the side. There it is.
There they are.
How fun could that be, huh? The talk about Johnson was how physical he was for a young back. You know, I can see the physical speed, but I didn't know he had that speed. I mean, that was great breakaway speed there.
40 for the point after. It's good. And a Penn State team that was hoping they would be able to find some big plays on offense that they couldn't find last year, has had a ton of them dumped right in their laps or in the laps of Arizona here in the first quarter and a half.
A simple pick screen. You had the receivers coming down and blocking. This was going to go to Johnson all the way. Makes another Arizona defensive back overrun the play and miss a tackle. That has to be 6 of those I've seen in the game so far. What? Here's the overrun from the secondary. This time it's Gales, number 22, another cutback, and he's gone. I mean, that's what we're talking about when you play in a big game, an early game, trying to make plays not within the play of the game. This is a touchdown pass from Kevin Thompson. That's nice. You throw it out there 3 yards, and you get to run down the field and say, I'm the man.
And there they are. That's the battery of the last touchdown. Huge plays. A 70-yard end around, a 60-yard touchdown pass there. Another 37-yarder by Shafi Fields. And it is all Penn State right now with a kick coming up.
I have to say, I'm in a bit of shock watching Arizona play defense. They seem to be over pursuing. They seem lost without Chris McAllister out there to take away a receiver. They seem to not get a handle on what Penn State's trying to run. They just seem to be completely out of sync in this football game.
Travis Forney's leg might be getting tired in this first game. Here's the kick. Wade 2 yards deep and won't find the 20 again. Nice coverage by Penn State. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by the Principal Financial Group. For all your financial goals, plan ahead, get ahead. Chili's, a proud sponsor of ABC College Football. Budweiser, delivered fresh daily from our local brewery near you. And the new Chevy Silverado. It's not just any truck, it's the truck. As you look in, the aerial view from Tostitos providing our aerial coverage for today's game. We look forward to seeing them in the future college football games here on ABC Sports. A beautiful day after much needed rain for about 3 days here in Happy Valley in a drought-stricken area. The skies opened up and Penn State has opened up 24-0 here in the Pigskin Classic. We got a timeout with 8:25 to go in the first half. Brandon Short will head to the sideline and we'll be right back. Like trivia question, the 3 coaches with more Division 1A wins than Joe Paterno. The answer, Bear Bryant on top with 323. Amos Alonzo Stagg and Pop Warner next in line. Both of them could be within sight of Joe Paterno, who we've got here today on his way, it appears, to number 308.
You know, Joe didn't even like all the hoopla about his 300 victory. Do you know what it's going to be like next year when presumably if things go according to plan, it will happen next year?
But Donald will have to pull him aside and say, Joe, we at least have to do a speech when this one's over. First down at the 20-yard line. Trung candidate finally gets an opening to show his running prowess, and he got almost 20 out to the 40-yard line.
Well, finally, candidate saw some green grass, and this is a guy that produced big plays a year ago for Arizona. I mean, what he did was unbelievable. Remember, he didn't run short yardage, but watch how his runs around the field. Didn't matter if he was running the left side of the field, the right side of the field. He just produced big TD runs, 37 and 66 to the left. You see the ones right up the gut. I mean, that's huge gutting deep over 35 yards. None today.
Here he is again. Some short yardage inside out to about the 44-yard line.
You know, when you play against a running back like that, I think if you're a defense, and so far today they've shut him down, I think you have to have the mindset much like a Joe Dumars had when he used to play against Michael Jordan. I mean, Joe used to say, I know I can play great defense against Michael Jordan. He's still going to score 35 points. I just have to have the mindset that I'm doing a good job. Take what he's going to get because he's just too good and just line up and play in the next play. That's the type of focus you have to have when you're playing against a home run hitter like this.
For the first time today, both quarterbacks in there. Ortiz Jenkins splits out in motion. It's Keith Smith to fire it. Had it tipped by LeVar Arrington. Incomplete. Well, his leaping ability alone broke that pass play up.
Unbelievable. I mean, the guy, you know, he's so versatile at what he does. He rushes the passer. He makes plays on run. He's strong, but I mean, he just drops back in pass protection and knocks it down too. That's only the second incomplete pass of the game, Brad, for all 4 quarterbacks.
Right.
That's 17 for 19. And Jerry Sandusky says, when I got here to Happy Valley, none of that stuff. There wasn't 17 passes in the game.
Not only played here, but now in his 32nd year and final season. He'll retire when this year is over. Leo Mills flanking Jenkins in the backfield on 3rd down, and Ortiz Jenkins goes down. The heat came from Kirpakis. The cleanup came from Courtney Brown, his first sack of the year.
At one time, Justin Kirpakis was a linebacker. They grew him up a little bit. He's now 250 pounds. Put him out at that, defensive end linebacker slash type position and lets him come off the corner, and he makes the plays to the outside of the field right now and just actually runs through a deep offensive tackle. And boy, there it is again. I mean, Arizona did not come ready to play and really take on this onslaught from Penn State.
Alex had 1 block today. He gets this one away quicker. Watson waits on it at the 15-yard line. And he watches, nice stiff arm. And Watson across the 30 all the way out to the 40-yard line. It's poor tackling on the part of Arizona, not only defensively from scrimmage, but on special teams as well. Coming up next, Little League World Series. Been in the World Series, and that follows our action here from Happy Valley.
Did you see that kid pitching for Alabama? He was like 12 going on 25 yesterday.
From the 39-yard line, here's Fields again on another end around. Shafi Fields having one of the great rushing days in Penn State history, and he's not a running back.
Knocked out of bounds by number 22, Leland Gales.
Hey, Lynn, that was the same play, man.
That was the same play, the same reverse, but keep in mind, there's a real big reason why they're having that kind of success. The Arizona defensive line does not penetrate. They don't come across to wreak havoc in the backfield. Fran Gatton said, I believe we can have great success dropping back, throwing the football, running those plays because they don't penetrate. If they penetrate, they knock those reverses off.
Well, Swanee, he's had a field day so far. Another 20-yard end-around rush. 3 for 110 on the ground. And remember, he caught a 37-yard touchdown pass. It's the Shafi Field show here in the first half that has about 6.5 minutes remaining.
You know what's so important about what Lynn is saying is, studying game film, the Penn State coaches said what the front 5, and I'm talking the 4-down linemen and one of the linebackers, usually it's Deshaun Polk, try to do up front is take on linemen and destroy the blocking patterns and let Bell and Scooter Sprott clean up all the tackles. When teams do that, you can run wide around them.
2nd down at 10. Casey, nice play fake. Richard fires too high for Eric McCoo. And it'll bring up 3rd down and long. Shafi Fields, we've been talking about he and Corey Jones. They have taken it upon themselves, and you and Swanee were talking about it earlier, kind of got challenged by Joe Paterno, but they've been challenged by the media who said, Penn State doesn't have any decent wide receivers. Shafi Fields went down in Florida and spent quite a bit of time with O.J. McDuffie of the Dolphins in the offseason. I think O.J. taught him a trick or two.
Well, it looks like it, doesn't it? And I tell you, I think the days where the student newspaper wrote just nice things about all the players are over. Everybody gets criticized when you don't win it anymore.
Well, their numbers coming in weren't very impressive when you really look back on it, as they combined for 52 receptions. But today, Shafi Fields alone has improved on what he did last season. As you see the penalty marker on the play, it's still going to be 3rd down. There's their numbers a year ago. 52 catches between them and only 3 touchdowns.
Hey, guys, Corey Jones isn't in the ball game right now, but you know what? As a wide receiver, I'd be saying, how about me? Give me a chance.
And stall watching
on the going down play, but they got to get him the ball, or else his confidence won't be up with everybody else's.
You're right.
Hey, Lynn, that's because you and Stallworth had to do that all the time.
Flag down, pass down the middle to Eric McCoo, but I think they're going to bring it back. We'll wait and see. It will be a 1st down inside the 15 if it's against Arizona. 31-yard pickup. It's
Penn State coaches are indicating it's against the Wildcats.
And so are the linemen now. You're right, Swanee. So that one will stand.
Well, Richard Casey is showing why this coaching staff feels confident in them. And you know what I think the Penn State people and Joe Paterno's doing right now? They're looking back to a year ago and saying, all right, we could win 9 games probably with Joe Paterno playing quarterback, but if we're going to beat Ohio State, Michigan, and Wisconsin, we need more play out of our quarterback, so we got to get 2 of them ready. Kevin Thompson's ready. He looks comfortable, and now they got Rashard Casey ready.
So the two-headed monster star quarterback is not for Arizona so far today. It's for Penn State. Straight up the middle is Aaron Harris. Stiff arm. A great move to the outside. Touchdown.
Man, oh man,
15 grueling yards for another Nittany Lion score.
That has to make every player on Penn State happy. The hard work this guy has put in for 2 years with his ACL. Watch John Gilmore, number 85, come across and just went into an open hole right there. When you bring a backside end or an H-back into a hole and have nothing but space, you know your running back is going to be able to run over people. This time it's Leland Gales. Other times it's Kelvin Hunter. When you've got your corners trying to tackle these big backs for Penn State, that's just a bad things happening for Dick Tomey's team right now.
Travis Forney for the point after. Up and good, as everything has been for Penn State in this first half. 5 minutes and 13 seconds to go in the half. Aaron Harris, a bruising 15-yard run for a touchdown. It is 31-0 Penn State. Just about everything has worked for the Nittany Lions today.
Yeah, and when just about everything works, I think there's a lot of things that go into that. You've got an offensive line that's hitting, you've got quarterbacks that are executing, and you've got a game plan unfolding that's trying to keep a defense that's very aggressive off balance. Now Arizona has lost their confidence. They're not tackling well, as you can see, and they got a defense that is very prideful, sitting down and saying, what the heck is going on?
At the conclusion of today's game, we'll tell you what's going on. We'll select the Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the game from each team. In recognition of these athletes, Chevrolet will make a contribution to each school's general scholarship fund. You know, we talked to Dick Tomey about if big plays happen, do you prepare your team for that? Lynn asked him last night at the meeting about that. He said absolutely, because you know it's going to happen. The thing is, you can't let it overpower you, overbear you, and not be able to get back in the football game. Well, when it's 31-0, that kind of changes a little bit.
And I think the other thing is, I don't think Dick Tomey ever dreamed. You know, he said there's nothing we can lose from coming here and playing a good football team. And I don't think he ever dreamt of being whitewashed like this, 31-0 at half.
And Swanee, you know, the guys we talked to on the team last night were so loose that has got to be getting a little bit tighter on them right now.
Well, I think there might be a little surprise. I don't think they're uptight yet. They've been in other ball games where they've been behind and they've come back, but it's got to be getting to them just a little bit. They're wondering, okay, we're playing hard, we're putting in the effort. Why are they still getting the big plays? They have to get settled down. I hope the coaches are talking to them on the sideline, letting them know this ball game is not anyway near over. You have a second half. You have to keep fighting hard. They still want them to have some confidence, to find some positives in this ball game.
Ortiz Jenkins in there at quarterback, and he's just going to take off with it again. Cuts back, and he's a great runner across the 30, 35, and stiff arms Anthony King as he goes out of bounds at the 40-yard line and then slides right into the wall over there. O.J. apparently okay as he gets up with the first down.
Remember back to 1997 when Ortiz had to play because of injuries for Arizona. He was really working as a wide receiver, playing for Arizona's basketball team. Gifted athlete who's learning still to be a quarterback in the Donovan McNabb type mold, and I think he's one of those guys you'll see emerge in his senior season and be a great quarterback.
Exactly 5 minutes left in the half. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, Lynn Swan from the Pigskin Classic and Beaver Stadium. A packed house has watched Penn State dominate this first half. Straight up the middle goes Leo Mills. Mills, a highly touted back in his own right, picks up about 7. He's been bothered by a shoulder separation earlier in camp, but was one of the prized prospects a couple of years ago in this program. It's a second down. And a long 2 coming up for Dick Tomey. A long first half for Dick Tomey. Trump candidate comes back in. Now they start the clock at the 48-yard line. You wonder how this first half would have gone as Arizona on their opening possession just zipped it right down the field. Smith to Northcutt, and it looked like they were going to score a touchdown, and then they missed a field goal.
I think you're right, Brad, but so far the defense has been exposed the whole game as being poor tacklers.
Brandon Short on the blitz, missed the quarterback, and he doesn't miss his wide receiver, Brad Brennan. Boy, that's a nice play by Ortiz Jenkins. It looked like Brandon had him in his sights, and he got away and delivers a first down toss.
Remember, this Arizona team has a bunch of game breakers that Jerry Sandusky was very fearful of producing big plays, but the defense that he's kind of built here since 1997, when it got pretty ugly around here, that was a team, a defense that was very young, did not have the talent, has steadily improved. You see their numbers last year, and it's hard to believe they could be any worse this year. I mean, they're going to have a great defense this year.
At the 43-yard line, first down. Jenkins flips it out. Candidate made the catch, and then Anthony King just leveled it. Big hit by the senior corner out of Norfolk, Virginia.
See, that's a misread by Ortiz Jenkins. You have to read the two safeties deep and know those corners are going to be all over those type of plays. Anthony King just jammed the wide receiver and just was raiding for Trung Candidate. Jenkins says, I'm going to take the easy throw to the outside. Coach said, take the easy throw if nothing's downfield. And Candidate says, try making a hard throw next time, okay?
Any kind of points for the Wildcats would look pretty good right now before intermission. 3:30 left in the half. They trail by 31. Trips to the right side, all three wide receivers over there. And Jenkins comes back across the other way to the fullback, Wendler. And Wendler got a nice block, and he runs through King inside the 25 to the 23-yard line. Pick up a 22 yards.
Pick up a 22 yards despite a great play by Courtney Brown this time, who just ran over. You're going to see Courtney Brown right here is going to just run over Savea right there, the right tackle for Arizona. The big guy who can pass rush it. Oh, man. 1/10 of a second more held on to that ball. And that was going to be a sack.
But it's a first down as it is at the 24. So now Arizona within striking distance at the 3-minute mark remaining in the half. Jenkins sets up, thinks about taking off, and he can't get away. Kirpakis, who's made several big plays, drops O.J. back at the 29-yard line.
All right, we saw Courtney Brown, the All-American, last time just bull rush his way into the ends, into the quarterback's angle. But this time, you see Courtney to the left side of your screen is going to try to get cut. And Athlete can just do more than push. Jumps over it, flushes the quarterback out, and makes the play.
Talking about him with LeVar Arrington and Brandon Short the other day, and they both just looked at us and said, wow, that's what they think of their star defensive end. Second down, Jenkins in trouble again, and down he goes. And guess who?
One more of these, and Courtney Brown's going to have a show of his own on ABC. He's going to follow Regis Philbin with that.
So you want to be a millionaire? Huh?
Exactly. I think he's on his way to being a millionaire. Coming from the outside, this time he doesn't go for the fake. Great agility. And the quiet one, as his teammates like to call him.
The quiet storm.
Wow, what a football player.
Making some noise. That's the 4th sack of the day, second for him. He might be on the way to the school record. As we said, 11.5 last year. And that tackle for loss tied the school record as well. Now it's 3rd down and 25, just when it looked like Arizona had something working. Smith in there at quarterback. And Keith will run with it. And he's got great wheels too, but not any kind of, whoa, and he goes right in to the kicking net. Baoju knocked him out of bounds. And
I think Brandon Short had a little bit to do with that one too.
He's got to untangle himself from the net there. Well,
that's a little different than sliding into second base, isn't it?
I know Arizona might feel like fish right now, but they don't want to get netted here.
Exactly. You see Baoju, and then you see Brandon Short, and it was very close to being a penalty on the sideline, but looked to me like he had one foot in, and the other one hadn't gone out of bounds yet, so it was a legal hit.
Mark McDonald has missed one today. He had a rough regular season last year, but had a 3-for-3 bowl game. Let's see how he does here. Pushes this one to the left. He's missed 2 of them. It's not getting any better for Arizona right now with 1:24 left in the half. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Penn State tried one more big play before halftime and lead by 31.
They may, Brad, but I would think that if they throw the ball, they'll throw the ball either very safely or way down the field. I think it would be a mistake for Fran Gander to get a little bit too greedy at this point. LeVar, let's go back. Courtney Brown and LeVar Arrington are going to do the leap on this one. That's kind of scary thought, isn't it? Number 11 and 86. Like $20 million worth of future pro players jumping on that one.
So Penn State works from the 31-yard line. Kevin Thompson at quarterback. Play action. They fake the end around. No, they do give it to Corey Jones. Flags down. Corey Jones got the corner turned, and boy, did he get leveled out of bounds. And Antonio Pierce let him have it, but a penalty marker down in the secondary. Kevin Thompson at the last instant got rid of that football. I thought he was going to hold on to it.
You know, and I think Swanee was right. They looked around and said, Corey Jones, we're going to get you the football here,
Absolutely.
so we'll just call a reverse to you.
Illegal block below the waist against Penn State. With 1:16 remaining, there have been very few mistakes, very few penalties. They'll walk this one off against the Nittany Lions. Don't forget, coming up on the Valvoline Halftime 99 report, John Saunders and Terry Bodden will be along. Terry will ask and answer this season's most important questions. And can a quarterback play pro baseball and still be a winner in college football? Those are some of the things we'll look at. Also a report from the Little League World Series.
Repeat.
John and Terry coming up in about 1 minute and 16 seconds, and they are right here with us at Beaver Stadium.
I think the most important question that Terry's going to answer is, can they get the Florida State game piped in right into their halftime thing? Because he's going to be watching those games all the time.
First down, back inside the 20 now. Casey in at quarterback, as the Nittany Lions continue their quarterback rotation as well. And nice stop.
Arizona will probably take a timeout now. This is the first time they can force a punt and try to make something happen their way.
That's a good play by Idris Haroun, who came in, made the stop on Cordell Mitchell. Loss on the play back to the 15.
Arizona has taken a timeout with second and very long. The thinking by Rich Ellerson, the defensive coordinator for Arizona, is, hey, we finally got something good happening. We got the clock in our favor.
Yeah.
That's about all.
Coming up next Saturday on ABC, we start a college football doubleheader with here in the Pigskin Classic. It has been all Penn State, 31-0. And you know, this is the highest ranked teams that have hooked up in a early season game since 1983, and Penn State's defense has been dominant. Trump candidate can't get on track because of how this game has gone, and Arizona 1 out of 7 on their third down conversions.
You mentioned that highest ranked game previous to this. That was Penn State involved in that against Nebraska when Penn State got spanked following a national championship year, and they kind of said, hey, we're not strong enough, and as Joe told us yesterday, we had to go on a weightlifting tour.
That's right. It was Turner Gill in Nebraska 44-6 in that game back in '83. They were ranked 1 and 4 respectively, those two clubs. Thompson in there at quarterback, gives it off inside, and Arizona does come up with a nice stop. Stafford Glover, he said some nice plays from his linebacking position. There's the last timeout.
See, I think you can see why it was so important for Penn State to try to keep this Arizona defense off balance. Now that everybody on Arizona knows that Penn State's going to be running the ball conservatively, you can see how effective they are making those plays.
It's going to give Northcutt a chance to return a punt here at Penn State. Excuse me, it's third down. Third down and long. Northcutt waiting on the sideline, hoping for a chance at a punt return. Rashard Casey,
well, what will happen?
Comes back in from the sideline.
The strategy here for Penn State again will be to run the ball, is probably to the side of the field, and try to take off as much time they can with a running play, a safe running play. Hand it to your best ball possession guy, and then let the 25-second clock run all the way down before taking a timeout so that you bleed as much you can off the clock. See, after 50 years of doing, no, that was me. Oh wait, Joe should know that, right?
I'm sure he does.
See, 8 years in the booth equals 50 years on the sideline. Even Joe said, you got to know everything, right?
Yeah, right. So 54 seconds left in the half. Caramelli and McCoo behind Casey from the 10-yard line for Penn State. And it's Casey who's going to keep it this time.
Stay in bounds.
And did he? Out of bounds he goes at the 19-yard line. Scooter Sprott scooted over there to make the stop.
Well, that'll be a learning experience when young Rashard gets to the sideline. We got to follow him over there and see what happens on this one. I'm sure he's going to get told. Now, you know Rashard Casey knew that. You know they went over it in a huddle or on the sideline before they called the play. They didn't even want to risk a handoff. You could almost hear that coming.
Pretty close.
Yep.
Now, Arizona's a great punt blocking team. Keep that in mind. As Pat Pigeons come in to kick.
And remember, that coaching, Joe knows, is for the next time it happens. Doesn't matter this time. He knows that they're going to be in a game that's going to matter next time.
Pigeon got the kick away. Here is Northcutt waiting on it. At the 30, dropped the football, scoops it up. Got a little bit of room, got about 8 yards on the return, and Arizona will have a little over a half minute with which to work. Penalty marker at the very end of that play. First time Penn State was 3 and out today, and it was in obviously a precarious position down there.
And you know what, it hasn't been a really penalized football game. Not a lot of legal procedure. You know, you watch the pro teams play preseason games and you see flags all over, and you can see the discipline that both staffs have had on their the teams get ready to play, because you know this preseason in college football ain't no such thing.
Okay, guys, just a point. You know, we talked about Joe Paterno and how he said he wanted to open up the offense, be a little more relaxed about his offense, and go for some bigger plays. But keep in mind, this whole first half, I think maybe the biggest kind of, you know, right wing kind of, or left wing kind of play he ever ran was the reverse. Everything else were just big plays.
Yeah, but
the conservative pass that the guys turned into big plays.
Yeah, but Lynn, don't you think there's been a great mix of play calling, play action pass, quick screens?
That has been phenomenal, because he's kept the defense off balance. He's found the receivers. He's got his running backs into the ball game. He even takes a young guy like Larry Johnson that you don't want to overexpose into a critical situation, dumps off an easy pass to him, and this kid turns it into a big play.
Right, and that's
motivation is like it's like a virus.
Right, and that's the genius of a big game coach, is not to do something you're not used to doing. Keep it simple, but use your whole playbook, and that's what Joe's done today.
Arizona's over pursuit and lack of tackling has led to a lot of big plays. That's for sure today. That was a dead ball penalty, personal foul against Penn State. It puts Arizona and the Nittany Lions into the field at the 46-yard line. Their best starting field position. Here's a toss out to Wade, who's got great speed. He got collared back there in the secondary by James Boyd, the safety.
Holy cow. James Boyd is replacing Sean Lee, their fine free safety from a year ago, and you saw James. He was their 4th leading tackler and #1 sub-tackler a year ago. He can hit.
Arizona's got to hurry. They may have jumped on the left side. It looked like Makoa Freitas came out of his stance just a little bit, and if so, they'll walk 5 off against the Wildcats.
Well, you know, Karpakis was also in the neutral zone on that play.
5-yard penalty remains, 2nd down.
So that backs it up outside the 40, out to the 43, and there's only 12 seconds left now. Arizona has maybe a couple of plays here.
And if Rashard Casey would have ran out of bounds, the half would be over.
You're correct. Northcutt and Wade out to the right. And Leonard to the left, and another flag down.
Well, just as we said, we had a nice played game.
Full start on the offense. 5-yard penalty remains, 2nd down.
Well, that 10 yards, when you add those two together and with the time as well, has made it a situation where you toss one now down to the end zone.
Yeah, I think you're going to see the home run, the Big Ben. Penn State is countering. Jerry Sandusky's put in his 3-man rush and put everybody back.
Derek Fox is about 60 yards away from the line of scrimmage. He won't have to even worry to see the ball. A half dominated by the hometown Nittany Lions, both defensively and on offense. All Penn State in the Pigskin Classic, 31-0. John Saunders and Terry Bowden will be back with you when we return. Financial Group, 31-0 Penn State. Welcome back, everybody. Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson talking to Joe Paterno about wanting to get big plays in this 99 season. Man, they had a whole bunch of them in the first half.
And you know, and it wasn't really that fancy, Brad. What they did is just run basic plays. That's what Joe's philosophy is in big plays. Go to your guys, let them make the plays. Kelvin Thompson right here. Kevin goes over. Chaffee Fields, a missed tackle. That became a theme in this football game. Missed tackles by Arizona. Chaffee Fields takes a very simple reverse that was supposed to pick up 5 yards. Here's a play designed to get 3 yards, and Larry Johnson takes it the whole way. Another missed tackle and another touchdown. very simple game plan, but you know, one of the nice things on a missed tackle by Aaron Harris, to see this guy break out. If Aaron Harris has the type of year that he had 2 years ago, Penn State's offense is going to get up there with their defense.
Well, they had 7 possessions, got 4 touchdowns and a field goal, failed on a 4th down conversion, about the only thing that could have angered Joe Paterno in the first half. And now Arizona will touch it first offensively to start the 3rd quarter. Travis Forney set to kick away. And it's fielded at the 5 by Leo Mills. And Mills across the 25 out to about the 26-yard line. Swanee, I know you talked to both coaches. Dick Tomey's got to be shell-shocked.
Well, Dick Tomey is a little shell-shocked, but he corroborated what you said. He felt that it was missed tackles that really hurt them in the first half. They're getting blocked down by the Penn State defense, and they're not replacing the guys who are getting blocked down fast enough, and when they do, they're missing the tackles. He says what we have to do is make this a long afternoon. First, we have to get back into this game physically. Then if we can get some scores, keep the ball in the air, make it a long day, if they have any chance of coming back at all. Gary?
The 27-yard line, first down, Arizona. Keith Smith in at quarterback, empty backfield, 4 receivers for him, and he sidearms one out across the 30, and diving to the 35 is Dennis Northcutt, who had a couple of big receptions on the opening drive. As we take a look, Northcutt and LeVar Arrington jawing out there a little bit. Our halftime statistics dominated, obviously, by Penn State. 361 total yards. And they had 4 sacks, including 2 by Courtney Brown in the first half.
Yeah, this is one of these games where you don't even have to put the stats up. Doesn't make any difference. You know the way the stats are going to go in a game like this.
And that rushing yardage a little deceiving, in that Shafi Fields had over 100 of that. Here comes a blitz from the corner. Derek Fox, actually the safety, but he came from the corner area, and he drops Keith Smith.
Interestingly, though, for Jerry Sandusky that time, he ran the same blitz package back-to-back plays. You know, that's almost like a baseball pitcher coming with the backdoor slider and then coming back with the backdoor slider again. This time, Keith Smith, who couldn't hit the backdoor slider. That's why he's playing quarterback.
Yeah, the only sliding he was doing was in the backfield there. It's 3rd down and 12. And both Keith Smith and Ortiz Jenkins in the lineup. And now O.J. goes out as a wide receiver on the right side. 3rd and long to open the 3rd quarter, Arizona. Northcutt makes the catch, but he's swarmed under by a wave of navy blue there.
At a halftime, Terry Bowden pointed out what a great half Keith Smith had in the first half. What I'd like to point out is there's a lot of hidden yardage in his passing attack that meant nothing. There's another completion. 3rd and long, the quarterback's taking the easy throw, really no chance to get a first down. That's a situation, I think, when you're down 31 points, you got to look for a first down throw. Keith just took the easy throw. Penn State says, thank you very much, we're out of here.
And Palick hopes to get it out of there. He's had 1 block today. Not a great kick, although they're going to have to clear out of the way. It's slides out of bounds at about the 31-yard line. And that's where Penn State will take over. Tomorrow we'll take over with more college football on our back-to-school blitz. It's the Buckeyes. Michael Wiley, quite a player for number 9 Ohio State. They'll take on 12th ranked Miami in the Kickoff Classic. Tomorrow live, 2:30 Eastern on ABC Sports. Some great linebackers in that ball game as well. Dan Morgan, Niall Diggs. There's 2 guys that will hit you.
Niall Diggs might be playing by himself, though. a few of his partners aren't going to show up. Well, if Lynn is correct about, and I'm not saying if, I know Lynn's correct, but if Dick Tomey wants to extend this game, he's going to have to depend on his defense to get some 3 and outs. Otherwise, there's not a way to extend the game.
Penalty marker on the play.
Snap. Full start on the offense. 5-yard penalty remains first down.
Guys, we're talking about the Arizona defense. Joe Paterno said coming out that he felt that their defense, Arizona's defense, was completely out of sync in the first half. He felt that they were trying to do a couple of things they hadn't done in the past, an extra linebacker, which hasn't helped them, and they missed those tackles. And he feels that they'll come out and play stronger here in the second half. But right now, going into the locker room in halftime, he just felt that they were out of sync. They were misaligned when they came out in their defenses and just had the wrong personnel. But, you know, he's a coach at Penn State. He can't help what Arizona decides to do.
He's got to find something there for his team to work on. You're right, Lynn. And, you know, I think that might be traced right back to Arizona losing Chris McAllister and Rich Ellison, the coordinator, saying we got to find another package to take advantage of maybe some not so talented guys that we had last year.
Arizona thinking about a blitz here against Thompson, and they come with it. Kevin lost the ball, and let's see who covered it. Looked like Penn State got back on top of it. The 24, Kareem McKenzie, I think, from his offensive line spot, covered that. Thompson tried to buy himself a little time in the pocket. It looked like Tafoya knocked that ball out of his hand.
There's probably nothing that upsets a coaching staff more than a quarterback who right there, Kevin knew he was going to get sacked. He could feel the pressure and still turning the ball over on a play like that. That has to be upsetting. You'll see Kevin go back in the pocket. He knows he has pressure, and he still loses the ball. That's not like a blindsider. That's one you expect your quarterback to hang on to.
And penalty markers down on a quick snap by Penn State.
Prior to the snap.
Gary, I didn't want this point to slip by as you were talking about the loss of McAllister to the Arizona defense. I wanted to help drive the point home a little bit. When Michigan had Charles Woodson, won the Heisman Trophy, their defense was #1 in the country against the pass because he could do so much individually. Now, they have 9 players coming back the very next year on that same defense that won the national championship. They went from #1 in the country to like 107. In pass defense. The loss of Charles Woodson.
Huge difference.
Lynn, I think it's almost like losing a quarterback to offense, a corner on defense.
3rd and 21. Thompson had almost got it picked off. Antonio Pierce made a nice play on the ball in front of Cordell Mitchell and almost came up with a turnover. So Penn State, after the punt return, it's 3 and out. In fact, they went backwards, and so Arizona's defense in this first series has done its job.
It has, and I think now you're going to see what a 2-quarterback system, sometimes the pitfalls. You see Kevin Thompson there. Rashard Casey had a nice first half. Sometimes you press to impress, and you may try a little bit too hard, and you got to get the other quarterback to stay within his game. That was just a poor throw, almost caused a turnover.
Nice punt. Backs up Northcutt to the 26-yard line. He got one half block and now does the rest on his own. Broke a tackle, almost got back to midfield. Nice return by Dennis Northcutt. And Arizona will have it on offense when we come back.
Arizona starts 1st and 10 from its own.
Penn State 31-0 here in the 3rd quarter. Marcus Bell and the defense gets a breather after stopping Penn State on that last 3 and out, and now the offense takes over from the 48-yard line. Keith Smith at the controls. Bad snap. Smith, nice job to one-hop that, and he got it complete to the tight end, who bulls his way down close to a first down. Manu Maluena, the tight end, his 3rd catch. And it's almost a first down, Arizona. Lynn Swan talked about LeVar Arrington before the game. Swanee, you've tracked him throughout this game. He's not disappointing us any, is he?
He's not disappointing anyone. He is having an impact in all areas of the game. You know, first in stuffing the run, he's being there. In coverage, he's getting back, coming up, making tackles from the linebacker position. And he's just doing the extra things, getting up in the air to deflect the ball. He's always around it. He's playing an excellent game. He's living up to all the hype he earned.
Here's D. Smith across the middle, almost intercepted. And it'll bring up 3rd down and short. In finishing things up really on LeVar Arrington, and he's not finished by any stretch of the imagination today, but in Sports Illustrated, which ranked Penn State #1, he said, if there's any doubt last year I was the best linebacker in the country, there won't be any doubt this year. And he told us yesterday, you know, that might have been misconstrued just a little bit as to what I meant.
You know, Brad, one of the things...
I don't think I played my best football last year. I played solid, but I know so much more now, and I'm so much more mature in my approach. I think I'll be a lot better than I was last year. So if there's any doubt, you know, that's why, you know, I made that statement. So, and I feel I'm ready to back it.
He's backed it so far today, that's for sure.
He's one of those guys that you don't have to have a highlight package ready for him before the game. He makes his own highlight package every game.
Right. He is a very effervescent personality. Here's candidate. He didn't get it. And it's Brandon Short, the captain, the inside linebacker, who makes the play there for Penn State.
Oh, by the way, they got another linebacker on this team, too. All Big Ten player, 4-year starter, basically. Could be playing in the NFL. The captain of the team, the middle linebacker, just slashes in there and stops the play.
That is one that Arizona really needed, that first down. And instead, it's 4th down, almost 2.
I'm frankly a little surprised they're not going for it. And maybe there's a fake punt here. Actually, Penn State has kept their regular defense on the field. They're expecting a fake.
Yeah, they're going to get a kick. Fair catch called for. Can they get down and cover it? Not quite. Nice hustle. But the attempt by Kelvin Hunter came up short. So it's Penn State from the 20 when we come back. Penn State by 31 and with the ball back. Kevin Thompson back in there, quarterback, Gary.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, Brad. A long picture again. Joe's thinking of the whole season. He wants 2 quarterbacks ready to play.
From the 20, here come the blitz, and he throws the other way, incomplete, and he got deposited back there by Idris Haroun, who made the hit. It'll bring up 2nd down and 10. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by the Principal Financial Group. For all your financial goals, plan ahead, get ahead. Just for Men blends away gray in 5 minutes. Looks so natural, no one can tell. State Farm Insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And the new Impala by Chevrolet. Let's go for a drive. Driving over the top of us here, our aerial views courtesy of Tostitos. Gorgeous view of Happy Valley. It's been a very happy place for Penn State fans today with a 31-0 lead. Here's a give to McCoo, and down he goes.
You know, it is a great view because you don't get a blimp in here very often.
Nope,
you know, it's too far, right? You know, so a lot of people don't really know the beautiful setting here in Happy Valley. And, you know, for a lot of people that love college football, this is one of the places that everyone wants to see. And it is something. Mount Nittany off in the horizon there. And, Brad, didn't you jog? Did you go all the way up this year?
I didn't go all the way there this year. I kind of went through the Ag Research Center and checked out the corn rows over there. But those RVs started coming in Wednesday night when Gary and I got here. We got an early jump on the tailgating. Thompson, play action, boots out, and he will keep it. Try to head for the 1st down. Sticks. Did he get there? Yes, he did.
Number 16, Kevin Thompson, the ball carrier.
He told us I'm not the most fleet of foot, but he was just fast enough to get there.
Well, remember the circumstances of why Kevin Thompson is even here and why he's playing. Kevin Thompson was from the same recruiting class as Dan Kendra. Kendra originally committed to Penn State, and Kevin Thompson was a 2nd quarterback taken, more of the poise, the steady the guy, the backup type quarterback. Kendra goes to Florida State. Kevin Thompson has to play.
Kevin picks up the 1st down at the 31-yard line. Play action, get some heat from behind. Again, the throwback screen, and he got it this time to Caramelli down the sideline. And the big fella rumbles down to the 45-yard line. And he runs right over Raphael Jones at the end and has something to say to him.
Okay, now I bet, and Lynn, you can come on this one. I'll bet you did Penn State more than we did last year. I'll bet you can count on one hand last year how many 1st down play action pass throwback screens Penn State ran a year ago at this time. And you can see the opening up of this offense that Fran Ganner's doing because Joe said open it up. Do some more things. If we're going to beat the big guys, we got to have these type of plays. Francis Spano, the center, got out there and made a good block, and Caramelli cleans up another big play.
1st down, Penn State, the Arizona 45. Blitz coming from the Wildcats. Thompson hangs in and goes deep. This one's underthrown, and it's intercepted by Kelvin Hunter. At the 9-yard line. Badly underthrown. Hunter just waited on it. Idris Haroun may have made that an underthrown pass with the pressure, but Arizona's got the football back.
Yeah, they had pressure on Kevin Thompson that time. It was underthrown, and finally we have somebody that makes a play in the secondary. Kelvin Hunter, who's had a lot of bad ones, makes the play this time.
Penn State defensive coordinator Jerry Sandusky in his 32nd and final year on the sidelines at Penn State. Some great players that he's coached along the way, including Jack Ham, his first All-American in 1970, and through the list, Greg Buttle in 75, Mac Millen, and a 2-timer in Shane Conlon, up through Aaron Collins, and of course LeVar Arrington a year ago. There have been 10 All-American linebackers to play at linebacker U, and LeVar Arrington's living up to the billing today. And remember, Brandon Short, the inside backer, also on the Butkus watch list, is a guy that made the play a few moments ago to stop an Arizona drive. Now the Wildcats, with the interception by Kelvin Hunter, have it back at their own 9-yard line. Keith Smith from his own end zone sidearms it out. And there's another good-looking play by the other linebacker, Mac Morrison. What a linebacking crew, and we talked about the first All-American at Penn State. He's along with us right now. Jack Ham joining us from Pittsburgh, and Jack, nice to have you along with us. I don't know if you expected what we're seeing today, but we certainly didn't.
Not all the big players they had offensively. That really did surprise me. A lot of, the wide people were the big question mark, and they have come through big time today.
You know, we talked with this group out here, Brandon Short, LeVar Arrington, and Mac Morrison, about playing at Penn State and playing linebacker, and they all still give it up for you older guys. They're not willing to say they're the best group that's ever been here.
Well, that's really nice of them to say that, but this is a great group, and I think Sandusky's done a great job of putting them in great position. I think Arrington in the open field like that on the off end, and Brandon Short being the glue to that defense, and Mac Morrison, who does all the grunt work out there. So that's a great combination they have in that linebacking core.
Going to be a third down coming up, Swanee.
Well, Jack, you've seen LeVar play. I mean, where can he improve? What does he have to do next?
Well, a little bit under control, I think. He's got a great burst to the football. He can close very, very quickly. I've never seen a linebacker with that kind of speed that he has out there.
Strong candidate on the swing pass, and he's knocked out of bounds at about the 14-yard line.
Hey, Lynn and Jack, you two guys talk to each other. On the teams I played on, the offense and defense never talk to each other.
Not very often.
but we talk more since we live next door to each other now.
Well, the ovation for that linebacking core of Penn State and their entire defense, forcing another punt. And Chris Palak forced to punt again near his own goal line. Just got this one away. High, lazy kick. Watson waits on it from the 46-yard line. And down inside the 45 of Arizona. Jack Ham's along with us, All-American linebacker from yesteryear.
Hey, Jack, this is Gary. You know, you've been around here. You know Jerry Sandusky. He's as much as an icon as anybody around here with linebacker you. Talk about your relationship with Jerry. I know you've only here with 1 year with him together.
Well, there's no question I knew he was going to be a great coordinator out there. I think what he does is prepare a team defensively, and they take away what an offense likes to do, make them do things they don't do very, very well. And that's what I think he's done here today as well. And I gave him a lot of credit the year, I think, when they didn't have a great defense. They went undefeated and went to the Rose Bowl, and he had to adapt it to those guys as well. So I think this year is going to be fun for him. He got some great players on defense. He can pressure a lot of people, and I think they've shown that today.
2 years ago, Jack, you know, this was a defense that Jerry would kind of hang his head and say, I really don't know what we're going to be able to do. And in 2 years, he's completely turned it around. Obviously, everybody has matured a little bit, including the LeVar Arringtons and Brandon Shorts. But, you know, you're still around Penn State football. You're still around Joe Paterno. The expectations for this group are awfully high this year.
Oh, I think without question. I think their defense, I think, can carry them a long way in that Big Ten. They've gotten a lot more physical in the last couple of years defensively. If the offense continues to play a lot like they did today, they got a great shot at the Big Ten title and possibly a national championship.
Well, Jack, I just have one more question from the sideline, and that would be, I talked about the fact that LeVar Arrington is going to get a lot of special coverage. Well, how much can they afford to pay attention to him when you've got the other people in this defensive unit, especially Courtney Brown in the defensive line?
I think they cannot zero in on LeVar Arrington. If he lines up on the same side with Courtney Brown, who's also having a great game as well. This guy puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback. You can't double team everybody out there. And they put him in the open side a lot where he can make a lot of plays, use that great quickness he has.
Well, I'll tell you this, Jack, as we let you go and having lunch with Joe Paterno yesterday, we talked about LeVar Arrington, and he said, he's not even close to Ham yet. So I just want to let you know that.
I think the memory is going on him.
Jack, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure.
All right, Hall of Fame linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and a Hall of Famer, obviously. Here's an All-American for Joe Paterno. 50 years that guy's been walking the sidelines, 34 years now as a head coach, and he's had players like Jack Ham along the way, both on and off the field, who are something special. We thank Jack for being along with us this afternoon. Second down and 8. Rashard Casey on the roll is just going to keep this one. And he actually got the corner, got run out of bounds, and he's going to be very close to the first down.
You know, we've talked about Keith Smith being a baseball player, gave back money to the Detroit Lions. We talked about Ortiz Jenkins coming to Arizona to play basketball. But, you know, Rashard Casey was also a baseball player coming out of high school. Florida wanted to draft him. He said, no, I want to be a football player. That's my first love. And you can see the type of athletic ability that he has, a position, a quarterback position that really has not really had that at Penn State a lot. A guy who can make plays on his own. It might be the final thing, the final piece that needs to go into this offense for them to catch back up to Michigan and Ohio State.
And as John and Terry had that special on at halftime about the two-sport athletes, you see the numbers on Kevin Thompson and Rashard Casey. Both have done a nice job today. Kevin Thompson, one underthrown pass, really about the only mistake. But, you know, you can talk about all that two-sport stuff you want to, but when it gets down to the nitty-gritty, the Quincy Carters of the world and all those guys say, well, you know what? You can only be great at one. There are only a couple of people, maybe the Deion Sanders, the Bo Jacksons, that can pull it off.
But I think it does, Brad, highlight how the position has changed. What you're looking for in the quarterback is different than what they used to look for in the position. Before, if you found a guy who could hand off, be intelligent, call the right formations, and throw the ball from the pocket, that's all you needed. And the great athletes were moved to other positions. Now you need a playmaker there because of the blitzing, and the great athletes that defenses are throwing at your offense.
Rashard Casey did indeed get a first down as they came across the field and measured. He picked it up, and Arizona indicating they think this is against the Nittany Lions.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
And it is a walk-off. See Sports, more flags down, which gives me a chance to tell you to check your local listings for the game in your area. Call your cable operator, DirecTV, Dish Network, whatever. Get the games on pay-per-view.
You know, one more point before we get away from the athletic quarterbacks in college football right today. Even a player like Drew Brees, who doesn't really have the pizzazz of some of them, tennis player, a ranked tennis player growing up, and he's very athletic within his pocket, and that's still necessary for a guy to have if you're going to play that position.
Still can't beat his mom on the tennis court.
That's right.
Tell me, but here's a run by Larry Johnson, who a little earlier in the first half took that swing pass and took it all the way for a score. He gets it down inside the 40.
Everything's been going so well for Penn State. Let's throw a little bit of cold water in their face now and say, Penn State fans, let's don't get too far out of whack here. Remember 1997. Penn State was #1. They started out 6-0. They had beaten Ohio State 31-27, and then they ended up the season in 1997 losing to Michigan and Michigan State and Florida. So things look good now, but this is a team that still needs to improve if they're going to go all the way.
And a long ways from here to either the Rose Bowl or the Sugar Bowl. Here's Rashard Casey on the run to Foya, giving chase. Casey, he hit his tight end right in the hands, and he dropped it. John Gilmore, who had a catch earlier in the half, should have had that one.
Yeah, I guess if it hits you right in the face, right in the hands, that's a shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Penn State lost one of their tight ends. Garrett Watkins would have been maybe a starter or for sure the second tight end with Tony Stewart, and here's Gilmore.
And remember, they're replacing Cuncho Brown from a year ago, and that's a miss. You know, that right now, John Gilmore's calling home and saying, I hope I don't have that VCR on. I don't really need this thing. You know, just turn it off.
He goes out and Tony Stewart goes in. And it is 3rd down and 16, Penn State with a 31-0 lead. Arizona showed blitz and backs out of it. Now there's some heat coming on Casey from the backside, and he got away somehow. Rashard Casey inside the 30. How did he do that?
Wow.
Austin Uku was the guy giving chase, and Casey got away somehow.
So you're not supposed to be able to do that in these plain uniforms. I mean, you're just not supposed to be able to do it. You got the one stripe, nothing on the pants, no name. Lynn, that doesn't happen in Happy Valley.
Well, it's not supposed to, and the receivers are going to have to get used to it, because there have been several times in this ball game that Casey has scrambled, and I've seen the receivers kind of stop and like, okay, what's happening now? And the play's still alive.
Well, yeah, they're not used to it, right?
Coming back to him. They're going to have to get used to him.
Travis Forney comes in to try a 47-yard field goal. His career long is 50. As we look from behind, he got a lot on it, and he got it with plenty to spare. Travis Forney tacks on 3 more with 4:59 to go 3rd quarter. It's Penn State 34, Arizona nothing. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, let's do that.
Back in Happy Valley, you look at Mount Nittany in the background, 34-0 in the Pigskin Classic presented by the Principal Financial Group. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, Lynn Swan, and our ABC crew on hand for the start of our 34th college football season on ABC. Great kick by Forney, who just nailed that field goal, and he nailed the kickoff as well. And Arizona is not winning the battle on the field. They're not winning the battle of field position either, and they're going to have to work from the 20-yard line. Dick Tomey, who really went after being involved in this game. He wanted to play the highest ranked team he could, and he didn't really care where the game was played. And you give them credit for that after a 12-1 season last year and a bowl victory in the Holiday Bowl over Nebraska. But I don't think they expected what they ran into, the buzzsaw of Penn State so far today. You can see what their offense has not done. 2 yards per play here in the second half. And it looked like they jumped early again. Now they're starting to have the illegal procedure type penalties.
Both sides.
Manuia Savea, I think, is the guy that jumped there.
On the offense, 5-yard penalty remains first down.
You know, talking about their offensive line, Gary, that's just part of what they lost. They lost 2 great players to the NFL, and Yusef Scott and Mulatalo. There's 2 guys that they could use right now. Mike Lucky, tight end of the Cowboys. Jeremy McDaniel was the other wide receiver for the Bills.
I think Kelvin Ifan is one that you really can't underestimate. He was the leader of that team last year. He was the tough guy in the backfield. He picked up the blitzes. He was kind of like the emotional ego of the team, and they really haven't got it back yet.
And then, of course, Chris McAllister is on top of that list, who we talked about in the first half, changes the way their defense plays with the All-American cornerback and return man, for that matter, who made so many big plays for them over the years. And it's been tough sledding for that guy, a Heisman candidate by name and by deed over what he's done. Trung candidates not having an easy time of it. 10 carries, 31 yards so far.
You know, Brad, one of the things that a lot of fans don't realize is how hard it is to get back to where you were a year ago.
Yeah.
You know, Dick Tomey was talking about this. Everybody said, oh, we're only 15 minutes away. If we had a good 15 minutes against UCLA, we're right there undefeated. But, baby, you got to start all over. You don't start from where you left off.
Keith Smith on the run, trying to get something started here, and he's run out of bounds by Macklin out at about the 24-yard line. Happy Valley is a happy place. Full house, 97,000 at Beaver Stadium in State College, Pennsylvania, with Gary Danielson and Lynn Swan. Brad Nessler with you here for the Pigskin Classic, a matchup of the number 3 and 4 teams in the country. And right now it's number 4 that has looked sensational from the opening get-go. Shafi Fields had a 37-yard touchdown catch and then a 70-yard end around, and that made it 14-0 in a hurry. And then Larry Johnson, a 60-yard touchdown. You put that around the field goals by Forney, and that's where we sit at 34-0. Smith firing complete to Northcutt. Nice little sidestep. And he can't quite get away, though. Just too many blue jerseys there, including LeVar Arrington. I hope this is just a cramp, as he's holding the back of his leg right now.
See, I just don't understand. That's the 3rd time in this game that Keith Smith, on a 3rd and medium play, threw the ball 1 yard for nothing. Well, I mean, that's just something you mean more from their quarterback than throwing the ball in the flat. LeVar's out there. Yes, Penn State's running his own, but you got to stick the ball downfield. It's down 34-0. LeVar, Showtime's not going to miss. Look to me like at this time of the game, you start thinking cramps from these guys, these highly skilled athletes.
Back of his left leg is what he was clutching. It doesn't give the impression that it was any kind of hamstring thing with the way he dove to help make that catch.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
That's right. And they're still working over the All-American. He's got 7 tackles today, and of course Swanee showed you some of the havoc that he has wreaked with 3 of those tackles behind the line and that pass deflection as well. And boy, if that's a cramp, it's really cramped up on him. But you would think so.
There's a lot to cramp there.
Yeah, there is. It started off about maybe 63 degrees this morning when everybody started rolling in here. They expected it to reach 78 to 82 by this point of this game, but hopefully that's all that is with his left leg.
That's one of the things I think people who play sports understand is you can work out all you want in the offseason. You can do as many of those stairs as you want, run as many hills as you want. There's nothing that quite can get you ready for playing football.
Well, it's going straight to the locker room.
Right. It's a whole different get in shape. And I think that's one of those ones where you put guys like that right on the IV and you get them some liquids.
And that's maybe where they're heading. We'll try to get a report from Swanee down there as they take it under the goal post. LeVar Arrington, named after LeVar Burton, the actor from Roots fame and I guess Star Trek The Next Generation, right? His middle name Rashad after Ahmad Rashad, our colleague over at NBC. Here's the punt and flag down as Bruce Branch goes down. Short gain on the punt return, a 45-yard kick.
Brad, Gary, just wanted to explain to our fans and folks out there watching at home that every school has a policy regarding injuries. Penn State's policy is that when a player is injured, they give out no injury information on the sideline. So we will not be able to tell you exactly what the injury is to LeVar Arrington. We'll try and find something out. But that's a policy of Penn State, which we respect, and it's a good policy. But we'll try and find out something about LeVar Arrington and get some indication whether they think it's serious or not serious. All
right, Swanee, thank you. 3:33 remaining in the third quarter. And now it's Penn State with a 34-0 lead. If that would have been 33-0, I'd have had everything covered there.
Exactly.
Threes. They start at the 35, so we're all done with that. And it's Rashard Casey at quarterback, new backfield in there. At least a new tailback in Omar Easy. Casey, nice play fake. Plenty of time to throw, and now runs out of time and lost the football momentarily. Nice hustle by Mike Robertson, who came around the corner to make the sack. Don't forget, Little League World Series is coming up next.
What Lynn talked about, Fran Ganner and Joe Paterno, saying that Arizona kind of went a little bit out of style when they played a lot of linebackers, played a lot of zone. This half, they played almost all man-to-man defense and started blitzing and trying to attack more like the Arizona teams we're used to seeing. Sometimes coaches can outsmart themselves, and I wonder if Rich Ellerson wouldn't like to have that first half back. I know, though, he'd like to have more tackling drills.
No doubt about that. Pierce is one guy that has made some tackles today. They were very high on Antonio Pierce, number 45, a junior, who they said would see a lot of action at linebacker today, and he's made some nice plays, including that last one. After a short pickup, brings up 3rd down and 13 for the Penn State offense. McCoo, the tailback, in the eye behind Ciaramella. Quick play action, and then a rifle shot over, complete. Bryant Johnson out of bounds, 1st down Penn State.
Man, that looked good.
That maybe had some Zuzu on it, didn't it?
Not only did it have a clothesline throw over there, Rashard Casey set up perfectly, pointed to the target, not literally, but he actually got his shoulders and feet and all his body going to the target, and watch the delivery. Comes over the top, a perfect throw. Come back to the outside, whether it's man-to-man or not, you can always get open by that much. Perfect throw, nice execution.
And a catch by the true freshman, Bryant Johnson, his first catch in a Penn State uniform. 1st down at the 47-yard line. Casey back again. Down the middle this time, and a great grab. Shafi Fields in the open field inside the 30. Down to the 19-yard line. It looked like he caught the back of that football.
Well, he had to. It was thrown so fast. I mean, this is an impressive football game for Rashard Casey. You know, Fran Ganner made an interesting comment to us about quarterbacks, and he believes it, and it's Joe's philosophy as you watch Shafi Fields catch his play-action pass. Coming across very similar to the one he caught early in the game, just had to make a slight adjustment because of the man-to-man coverage. What he said the philosophy of Joe is it's better to play a quarterback later than earlier. And you can see, he said, I'd rather play him 1 game late than 2 games early. And that's exactly what they've done with Rashard Casey. He looks like a real player.
Back near the red zone again, just outside the 20. And here's a hole that opens up on the left side, and rumbling down inside the 5 is Omar Easy. And that looked pretty easy. 1st and goal, Penn State.
Well, poor Leland Gales that time, number 22. He had a terrible neck injury a year ago playing corner for Arizona when he ran into Marcus Bell, his own teammate. He's the last line of defense. You're going to see him on the right side of the screen right here, and he's going, man, I don't know if I can do that. But to his credit, he did it well enough to make a tackle. You don't ask your corners to come up and hurt people. You just want to save touchdowns, and he did it.
By 3 yards, he saved it, and now Arizona's going to take a timeout, I believe, with Penn State down close again with a 1st and goal.
Well, now you have to wonder, it's been so bad out here, it's been so brutal out here, is what effect will this have on Arizona the rest of the year? Not only that, I got a feeling the whole Pac-10 is saying, if this is the best we got and they get rolled over by a Big Ten team like this, that doesn't help our overall strength of schedule formula for us and how we feel about ourselves.
And you know, it appeared that if Arizona could pull an upset out here, that their schedule was favorable to them and that they had 2 off weeks, one before USC and one before Arizona State, their rival in states, and that looked like a good setup.
Hey, don't underestimate next week. This Texas Christian team is a good football team, Dennis Francione, and then you're at UCLA and at Arizona State this year. So it's not an easy schedule by any means, but next week is another shocker. 2 games on the road, and you know Coach Francione has his team with the option is going to be ready for this Arizona team.
They're coming off a bowl win from last year, too. So they're
USC, that's right.
Dick Tomey, who signed a new contract just at bowl time last year in his 13th season. 84 wins coming into this one at Arizona, 147 wins, including the 10 years he had at Hawaii. But today, it has been all the opposition. Penn State. Dick Tomey and his wife Nancy showed Joe Paterno and his wife Sue around Hawaii back in February. He probably wishes he'd have left Joe out there somewhere in the ocean.
That's right. Joe, try some body surfing, Joe. That's fun.
At the 3-yard line. Here's a give to Easy. Touchdown. Did he make it? It looked like he broke the plane. Now they're going to say he's not in. Boy, he got stood up at the very last second coming out of the pile. Is Arizona with the football. So it's 2nd and goal. Marcus Bell is coming back out there at linebacker. He's been shaken up a couple of times today for Arizona. Going to try to plug the middle as Penn State's only length of the football away from the goal line.
The problem in this game is the middle has been from one sideline to the other sideline. It's been a lot to plug.
Caramelli, the fullback, in the eye. And 2nd and goal, about a foot away. Easy, touchdown. Omar Easy for the score.
Just try to put yourself in the heads of these Arizona football players today. This is a team that worked all offseason after beating Nebraska in a bowl game to play this game. Every lap, every rep in the weight room, every double session practice that they went through, every drill was to get ready for this game. And now they come out here and they get embarrassed by 41 points. That is tough to take. Dick Tomey is going to have to call on all his experience to tell his team to forget this game and move on to the next one.
Forney's extra point deflected, but it goes through. Somebody got a hand on it, but it didn't matter. That's the kind of day it has been for Penn State. They go up 41-0. 36 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. A 65-yard drive, this time in 7 plays. Just under 3 minutes, and one of the big plays in there was a couple of nice tosses by Rashard Casey. First to the freshman wideout, and then down the middle to Shafi Fields. That got him down close, and then Omar Easy takes it in from a yard out.
You know, Gary, Dan, this is one of those games that you usually expect somewhere in the middle of the season. You get the top-ranked teams playing each other, and there's a little shaking out. We're not quite sure how good these teams are until they face each other. You get this kind of a ball game, and it's such a blowout. You know, everyone's going to start to reassess. Well, maybe Penn State is a heck of a lot better than we thought. Or, you know, we're waiting to see how Arizona plays in the Pac-10. Arizona comes back into the Pac-10, plays a much stronger and tougher schedule or better results. Then they're liable to say, hey, you know, Arizona's just had a missed game, a bad game at the beginning, and they're not as bad as the score may indicate.
You know, Leon, it seems to me, though, Texas A&M lost their opening game to Florida State, but after the game, they came out feeling good about themselves, and they kind of resurrected themselves. I can't imagine that Arizona's going to feel good about themselves losing this game, and it's going to be tough for them ever to climb back up in those polls after this defeat.
2 yards deep is Bobby Wade. And Wade has been running back kicks all day, and he still keeps trying to find the 20-yard line. Great coverage by Penn State, and their special teams have been pretty special today. Brandon Steele got down to make that tackle, and it's going to be at about the 13-yard line. Arizona's got to go to work again.
You know, Brad, the red-lettered games for Penn State, though, are still there. You know, they're in their future. They still have Miami, Michigan, Ohio State.
Yep.
They don't play Wisconsin this year, but they've got a lot of them. The 2 quarterbacks today really hasn't made any difference. Both guys have had fair games. I think sometimes Keith Smith's yardage is a little bit misleading. He's made a lot of throws that I question, taking easy throws when he needed to get the ball downfield. Jenkins 5 for 5. Had a lot of runs running the quarterback counter from his spot.
Here's a toss out to nice catch to get to that thing, and picked up about 9 yards to the 25. Eric Sturtevant, who blocked a punt earlier, made the tackle. And our third quarter just about ready to wind to a close. It has been all Penn State in the Pigskin Classic as they've dominated from the opening kickoff, and they lead at the end of 3, 41-0. Fourth quarter coming up from Happy Valley when we return. ABC Sports presentation of college football back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Back at Penn State, where the Nittany Lions lead 41-0 over Arizona. Final quarter set to begin. And Arizona still looking for its first points. Penn State's offense has been brilliantly balanced as Leo Mills on the carry, trying to pick up a yard on second down. Talk about Penn State's offense, and you say, you know, we'd like to be balanced. Fran Ganner will always tell you that. So will Joe Paterno. They're pretty balanced today, I'll say that much for them.
Out of their 484 yards, I think they're split equally, aren't they? 242 on the ground, 242 in the air. That's 484 any way I look at it. 9.5 average. Boy, all those numbers look good across there, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Brad, I'm kind of leafing through my rule book here, and I'm looking for the 41-point mercy rule. Is there anything like that?
It might be in the World Series following us, but it's not here.
I think there is. I really do. If you make more than a 3-hour flight and you're down by 41 in the fourth quarter,
I think go home.
Yeah, you can.
Go back to Tucson. It's been a long day for Dick Tomey. There are going to be a lot more bright spots in the season for this team, who came in with a 7-game overall winning streak and had won 16 of their last 17 ball games. Not the way Arizona wanted to start its centennial of college football. This is their 100th year of college football.
Well, remember, just a year ago, it was Arizona State that everyone had high expectations for, and they had a disappointing football season. Dick Tomey is going to have to remind his team again what happened to Arizona State. Regroup and play. Hey, no one will remember this game. You know, their shots for almost every goal they have playing in the Rose Bowl is still ahead of them. No one will remember this game around Tucson if they go on and have an outstanding season and play in the Rose Bowl. I promise the fans of Arizona that it will get a lot better if they just take care of business and play like they can play.
And the only Pac-10 team that has never appeared in Pasadena for the Rose Bowl. Meanwhile, Big Ten looking for a repeat winner in a Rose Bowl for the first time. Smith, nice sidestep in the backfield. And now getting run down and sidearm and ducks. And the penalty marker. Maurice Daniels is the linebacker that hit him, but it's going to be an intentional grounding, not a late hit on the quarterback.
Well, no matter what the play action pass and the cross action kind of fooled Courtney Brown. He doesn't know where the ball is. Kind of turns around. He almost makes the play on Keith Smith that time, but you know, Keith comes out and there are other guys on that defense. That's what makes a good defense. The backups are in. This time it's Maurice Daniels comes in and runs down Keith Smith. He says, hey, you know, what am I going to do? And that's one rule I would like to see changed in college football. I think they should make it more like the NFL rule. It would be a safer game for the quarterbacks. Once you leave the pocket, as long as you throw the ball over the line of scrimmage, it would not be intentional grounding.
It almost passed this year. They came up a vote shy, so it'll probably come back up with the Rules Committee again in future off seasons. Here's screen pass, and that one's going nowhere either.
Maurice Daniels again.
Two big plays. Don't forget, coming up. So this brings up third down and about 20. Smith again flushed out of the pocket, got nailed as he threw it, and Bobby Wade trying to make a diving catch, and the officials say no, he trapped it.
Brad, this time it was Eric Sturtevant that came in to put the pressure. The two previous plays, it was Maurice Daniels, number 52. This is what's really fun to watch college football. Here's a guy in Maurice Daniels, a backup linebacker to Brandon Short. a senior. He's worked for 4 years. You know how hard it is to go through practice, run all those sprints, and you know you're not likely to play, yet he's kept himself in shape. He studied his game plan, and he came in when asked to play, even though it's mop-up time, and came out and made the plays. That's what coaches like to turn on the film, and that's what everybody, when they watch the game, is going to say, Maurice, you the man.
He pretty much dominated that defensive series and forces Palick to come in to punt. His 9th punt of the day coming up. His very first one was blocked, and he has been a busy kicker today. Kenny Watson back there waiting on it at about the 40-yard line.
I think they ought to let Chris Palick ride back first class, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so too. That's a long flight.
Stretch his legs out after that.
Keith Smith is down on the near sideline, and that's why action's been stopped here. Let's take a look at the end of the play.
Oh, he got
sandwiched.
Racked from both guys, and he grabbed his hamstring on the play. You could see it just as he let it go. He grabbed his hamstring.
Sturdivant and Kirpakis both got a piece of him, and now Keith down on the sideline.
You see Ortez Jenkins, number 16, right here. That's the guy right next to him.
They are very good friends. It's quite frankly a refreshing thing to see in college football how those two young fellas have gotten along, both playing quarterback, and it might be Ortiz now the rest of the day as Dick Tomey looks on. 41-0 Penn State. State forces another punt, and from behind Chris Palick at the 4-yard line. Nittany Lions leading 41-0. Palick's kick. Kenny Watson waits on at the 46 and takes it on the run. And Watson down inside the 40. Nice return. 37-yard kick, a 15-yard return. Keith Smith was helped off before that timeout by one of the trainers, and Ortiz Jenkins was a guy on the other side trying to help him over there to the sideline.
See, this to me looks more than a cramp too. There's concern from everyone there about what happened to Keith Smith. You can see it on everyone's face. I mean, there's a lot of people around him, and you know this everybody's got to cross their fingers now, because this guy is just too good of a football player for Arizona to lose this early in the season.
Yep.
And I wouldn't be surprised now when Jenkins gets back in there, if he does. They might even go to the next quarterback that it's just hand the ball off and get out of here.
There's Larry Johnson on a counter, and Johnson just bulls his way down to the 33-yard line. Now the Sears National Championship Trophy here with us today. Ultimate goal of all Division I college football teams across the country is presented to the winner of the Bowl Championship Series National Championship game, 4th of January in New Orleans at the Nokia Sugar Bowl. And don't you know that the folks in Happy Valley are hoping that that gentleman can go down and win another Sugar Bowl, as he did for a national title in 1983 over Georgia. Certainly a good start to the season. A long, long way to go, but this was the kind of start that Penn State was hoping for, and so were their fans, obviously.
You know what's the best thing about that date this year, January 4th? It's a Tuesday. That means you get Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night. You just send the wives out for 3 straight days, right?
I'm glad you said the wife thing. I'm not going there. Joe Paterno on his way to his 308th career victory. And when we said 50 years in Penn State, of course, he came in as an assistant to Rip Engel, took over as head coach now 34 years later, and still going very, very strong at age 72. Here's a play action. Casey comes up firing, and in and out of the hands. Omar Easy, the intended receiver. Raphael Jones had a hand on it and couldn't hold it. Penn State, well, it gets a little bit easier, you would assume, although Pittsburgh an up-and-coming team. And then, as Gary said, the at Miami is tough. Ohio State is here, and so is Michigan, and Wisconsin's not on the schedule.
And at Michigan State, too. Remember the last time Penn State went to Michigan State, that was the disaster. 400 yards rushing. That's where Jerry Sandusky said, you know, it's nice that they're wanting to carry me off the field this year, because 2 years ago they just wanted to shoo me out of here.
Run him off the field. There's a big difference. 4th down and 3. Pigeon in punt formation. Lays up a high, lazy kick. This looks like it might be a dandy. And it is down at the 1-yard line. Wow, nice coverage. That kid's had quite a game, Kirpakis. Penn State doing just about everything right. They lead 41-0. for 97,000 to start their college football season. Penn State in the Pigskin Classic presented by Principal Financial Groups all over. Arizona 41-0. And Gary Danielson and Lynn Swan. I'm Brad Nessler. Arizona starts in a deep hole here after great punt coverage. And they're in a deep hole on the scoreboard. 41-zip with Ortiz Jenkins in there at quarterback. And here's breaking out across the 10-yard line, Jim Wendler, the big fullback, and he's going to have a first down. It's been all Penn State, though. First it was Shafi Fields, 37 yards on the second pass off Kevin Thompson. Then the end around. Shafi Fields again. A beautiful cutback 70-yard later, a score. Larry Johnson, a swing pass that went 60 yards for a touchdown. And then the senior Aaron Harris bulls his way from 15 yards. You sandwich that around a couple of field goals and a touchdown by Omar Easy, and thus the scoring 41-0. All Penn State so far here today. Sweep in the left end, Leo Mills. And Mills stays in bounds with the 11 minutes left. Baoju and Shamar Finney in on the tackle. Some of the people that normally see a lot of action at this stage in there now with some of the regulars like Captain Brandon Short working that sideline.
More than just 11 guys on defense. You need the backups ready to play at any time. So go out there with intensity, focus on your job, and play it like it's nothing to nothing.
Ortiz Jenkins rolls out, throws on the run, got it to his tight end. It's dead right there. Brandon Short not in the lineup right now. A lot of people thought he wouldn't come back. He'd go to the NFL. He talked to us about that decision that he made this year to come back.
At first, when I was making my decision to come back, I thought it was hard when I took a look at my family and took a look at like all the people around back home that I could help. But when it came down to it, really wasn't that tough a decision, because I realized nobody's ever going to remember like what kind of car you drove, how much money's in your bank account. They'll remember the legacy, they'll remember the stories, remember the things you did out there on the field.
Is that a pretty level head on a pretty big body? I'd say so. Almost intercepted there by Jimmy Kennedy. Brandon Short with Mac Morrison and LeVar Arrington all on the Butkus watch list as the best linebacker in the country. The only school in the country that has all three of their starting linebackers as being part of that group. And Mac Morrison, there's Mac smiling over on the sideline. Say he doesn't smile much on the field. He does at class, and he does when he's just around campus. Turns into something else out there in the football field. Three wide receivers to the left and one to the right for Jenkins. And Ortiz is in trouble. Somehow got away from the rush. All the way the other way and throws incomplete. Had Marvin Brown out there, and Brown couldn't hold it.
And Jenkins said, boy,
that was a lot of work for nothing.
I did a crossover dribble on one side of the field. They came back. I still don't have a shot at anything in this football game. Penn State's defense, even with their backups in right now, are smothering the offense. And, you know, it's one of those games for Arizona that they just believe they can have running time. How about running time? Anything to get
You're
out
trying
of
everything, aren't you?
I'm trying to do it. You know, I think another rule that college football should look at is I just don't understand the whole red shirt thing. You know, you got a bunch of freshmen on the sideline that would love to be playing, but you got to protect them because you don't want to ruin a red shirt. Put those guys in. You're paying for them. Who cares?
Watson, nice cutback. Weaves across the 40, midfield, and then head on. They're going to say he stepped out at the 44, but I tell you what, Chris Palick wishes he would have stepped out at the 44 with a little more authority. Yep, it's a goofy day. Penn State in front. Alabama, so stick around for that next on ABC Sports. Penn State, new quarterback. Mike Seneca is in there at the controls. As it's been a good day for both Kevin Thompson, the co-captain, and Rashard Casey. And so there's number 15, the redshirt freshman out of Allentown, PA.
Well, I don't really know what's been worse for Arizona in this football game. You know, the way they were manhandled on the field and it got away from them, or looking over the sideline and watching Keith Smith sitting there, hasn't moved yet, still has his leg propped up. That's a scary thought. Now, to me, it doesn't look like a cramp, but let's just hope it's a sprained ankle or a sprained knee that he can come back in a couple weeks.
Just outside the 48-yard line for Penn State. Omar Easy, the tailback, he has a touchdown already today, and he gets the call here, and a huge opening, and he ran over one man en route to the 41-yard line. Scooter Sprott was holding on for dear life, lost his hat in the process. Omar Easy is not a little guy, 6'1", 245.
It's hard to find a play for Fran Ganner that doesn't work and turn into a big play right now.
It's an offensive coordinator's dream game so far. And a first down at the 41-yard line. Clock nearing the 8.5-minute mark here in the fourth quarter. A little delay to Johnson. And he's brought down. Antonio Pierce after he picked up a couple of yards. We came in talking about the 2-quarterback system of Arizona, but how about the 2-quarterback system today at Penn State?
Well, Kevin Thompson had a good football game, and I think that took the pressure off him going into the next game. I think after the game, what you'll see is Joe talk all about how well Kevin Thompson did and kind of downplay Rashard Casey. But I think the star of this football game, as you look at Kevin Thompson, the captain,
is
Rashard Casey. That gives Joe Paterno another weapon. He's going to go home tonight. When he walks home to see Sue, he's going to be thinking, I finally got 2 quarterbacks.
Straight up the middle, R.J. Luke, the fullback. And a first down, Penn State. And we hope Sue is doing well. She's been on crutches quite a while after an accident on vacation in Spain when she broke her hip. And that makes those walks with Joe a little more difficult.
Yeah, that's right, Joe. Well, it is always fun to come over here and talk to the young men on both teams, really. I mean, we met with the 4 real captains, playmakers for Arizona. Marcus Polk did a great job of talking about if you want to be the best, you got to play the best, and they definitely faced one of the best teams in college football today in Penn State.
Saw the Notre Dame lead on Kansas. Here's Easy spinning for a couple. Don't forget tomorrow also the Kickoff Classic. We've got 2 other highly ranked teams for you in that one.
Second down.
Brent and Dan, and Dean will bring you the action from the Meadowlands of Ohio State and Miami. High atop Beaver Stadium. Our look in, courtesy of Tostitos. We've seen some beautiful pictures on a beautiful day. It just hadn't been pretty for Arizona and their fans today. Here's the give. Nice hit in the backfield. Hanging in there tough, the Arizona defense. Austin Uku, who's made a couple of stops on this series. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by the Principal Financial Group. For all your financial goals, plan ahead, get ahead. Chili's, a proud sponsor of ABC College Football. MCI, 5 cents every day. And the all-new Jeep Grand Cherokee, the most capable sport utility ever. There's another one of those picture-perfect shots that we've been telling you about. Thanks, folks at Tostitos, for being along with us today. 3rd down and 12. Penn State with 6 minutes, 10 seconds remaining in the ballgame. Seneca, play action, and he's not going to get it off. And it's Austin Uku again coming around from the corner to make the stop. The JUCO transfer makes the hit.
Matt Seneca, I think he's from Allentown, Pennsylvania. Teammates of Tony Stewart and Mike Sarmelli, getting a chance to play, just a freshman, and one of those disaster quarterbacks that will work his way up the ladder here at Penn State.
Pat Pigeon has not been a very busy punter today, when on the other side, Arizona's kicker has been very busy. Pat last time dropped one down at the 2-yard line that was covered beautifully by his special teams. And again, he might have done the same thing, and again he did. Great coverage by Penn State to get down there. James Boyd this time again drops him down at about the 2-yard line. LeVar Arrington, the pads are off. The game is pretty much over. It's 41-0. 18 remaining in the ball game. Penn State on its way to its first win of the year, and number 308 for Joe Paterno. I don't think Joe would care less if it's 308, 301, 201, 101. LeVar Arrington, another good game today, and has come back out of the locker room, as you saw, without pads after going out earlier with what appeared to be a cramp, but he sort of limped back out here today. But there's been a lot made about LeVar Arrington not being the kind of player that Joe Paterno likes to keep in check a little bit. We talked to Joe about how much he likes LeVar Arrington.
I think LeVar Arrington is a heck of an athlete and a great kid and a fun guy to coach. And if you don't like LeVar Arrington, either as a person or as his coach, I'm in the wrong business. He practices. I mean, he never lets up in practice. He never lets up in a game. He works like a dog off season and the whole bit.
More on Joe Paterno and LeVar Arrington after this snap, and a pitch gain on the play that time by Leo Mills. But you know, when you're around 50 years, 34 as a head coach, sometimes you get the last say.
But he feels that, you know, maybe he knows a little bit more than the old man knows. And every once in a while, you got to slow him down and say, hey, look, kid, if you want the car tonight, pay it. All right, you ain't going to get the car tonight unless you do it my way.
Well, every parent knows exactly what Joe's saying right there, doesn't he?
Yeah, LeVar was driving the car around a little bit this afternoon, that's for sure. We'll hear his comments on Joe Paterno after this snap. Ortiz Jenkins trying to take off. O.J. High steps it outside and lost a shoe in the process, trying to get out to get a first down. The big question with all of that and Joe Paterno's feelings about LeVar Arrington, Gary Danielson said, LeVar, you know, does Joe like you?
I think Joe doesn't like to show me that he likes me all the time, but yeah, Joe likes me.
Oh, boy.
And, you know, every time LeVar Arrington meets anyone from the press, he's going to, again, just show what a great player he is. Not only a player, but what a great guy he is. He's a great teammate. I mean, all he wanted to do was talk about Brandon Short, Courtney Brown,
Mac Morrison.
You know, a guy we haven't mentioned at all today is David Macklin, number 27. He's just an all Big Ten corner.
Right.
And compared to the other positions, when you're a cornerback and you don't get mentioned, that's good.
Absolutely.
That means nothing's happened in your territory. And so David Macklin's a guy, he's, you know, they got 4 potential players there, impact players in college football. You know, that's like the Florida State type defense right there.
You can bet someday when LeVar Arrington's on to the next level playing in the NFL and maybe goes on, who knows, to an all-pro type career there as you look at David Macklin, that Joe Paterno someday will give it up and say, maybe he didn't have too many like number 11, but right now he's trying to keep those car keys in hand. Here's Ortiz Jenkins with a rocket down the field to the 39-yard line. And where has that been all day? Marvin Brown on the long ball, and that just shows you the arm strength of O.J.
I mean, I was blocked a little bit by the rush that time, but it appeared to me that Ortiz just threw this ball flat-footed. I mean, he didn't even step into the throw, just kind of stands. He did not even take a step and just gunned it. Didn't put much air under it. Threw it right in between Adams and Branch and just drilled it in there. That is an impressive throw to Marvin Brown, and that's what Jenkins showed in '97 when he made big play after big play, throwing 19 touchdown passes.
A 41-yard pickup, biggest play of the day for Arizona. Now the crowd coming to life. They want the shutout. Jenkins again, incomplete. Little bumping down there, Bruce Branch and Melosi Leonard. No flag, 2:37 remaining in the ball game. North Carolina State will be at Texas Darrell Royal, Texas Memorial, to North Carolina State and the Texas Longhorns tonight. Second down at 10. Jenkins play action, scrambling for his life back there. Does buy himself enough time to throw deep, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Ascari Adams. Oh, I guess he dropped it too. Looked like he had it, and now the back judge says nope.
See that wins over your teammates if you're a quarterback. You're out there playing, you're falling on your sword. The score is 41-0, but you're just letting it go. I mean, you just watch this time. Ortiz Jenkins, he scrambles around. He's not just going to dump it out. He's going to try to make a play. He almost ran right into his quarterback partner that time, Keith Smith, on the sideline, and that is good news. There's Keith Smith right on the sideline.
Swanee, what do you got on him?
Well, they said they checked it out. It's not his knee. It's not his ankle. They said he is feeling some pressure in the lower part of his leg, but they checked out his knee and ankle. There's no pain there, but the indication is that there's just some kind of pressure building on the lower part of his leg. But fortunately, it is not a knee injury, and they believe it is not an ankle injury.
All right, well, that's apparently good news for Keith Smith. All I know is it's going to be a very uncomfortable plane ride back to Tucson for him when this one's over. Timeout has been taken here with 2:26 remaining in the ball game. Time permitting, stick around for the Thrifty Car Rental post-game report with John Saunders and Terry Bowden from right here in Happy Valley.
Well,
autograph time.
As Showtime heads for the stands right there, LeVar is going to say, hey, this is some of the things, see, that usually you don't see from a Penn State football player. That's the kind of like that rough edge, that different edge that LeVar brings to the program that hasn't really been here for a while.
At the 39-yard line, 3rd down and 10. Jenkins swing pass. Oh, dangerous pass. Did he have possession of that, or is it incomplete? Penn State saying they have it. The officials still have not made a judgment, at least that I've seen, and they do give it to the Nittany Lions.
See, I think that was a lateral, and I think that's going to count, if I'm correct, looking down at our statistician on the stats for candidates. I think that'll go on the running backs, and it'll be a fumble. Oh, is it Leo Mills? I'm sorry. Leo Mills, number 20.
There, Jerry Sandusky can smile now. Ortiz Jenkins didn't like the call. Here's another look at it.
Flip to the outside a little bit.
Yeah, that looked like a lateral. You're right. Yep. By about a half yard, I think.
And at the same time, Bobby Jones was right in his face, number 96, and that's why Mills kind of looked away on the play.
So Penn State takes over in what is a near perfect performance for them to open up their 99 season. And whoops, maybe I spoke too soon. Fumbled snap. Chad Krell's the 4th quarterback to see action, and an exchange problem, and Penn State gives it right back.
1-2. Jay.
So Arizona will take over on offense with 2:13 remaining. Back-to-back fumbles there. We want to extend our greetings and best wishes for a full recovery to one of our colleagues, Virgil Buck Bates. Buck's one of our behind-the-scenes technicians and most generous and stalwart human being. And Buck, get well soon, man. We'll see you. Our entire production crew and engineering crew and all of us hoping that you're all right. Get back in a hurry. 1st down at the 43-yard line for Arizona. Ortiz from the shotgun. A quick opener to Leo Mills. And Mills breaks a couple tackles into the clear and down to the 22-yard line. So Penn State finally drags him down, but not before he gets a 1st down with 2 minutes and 3 seconds remaining in the ball game. Notre Dame leading Kansas in the 1st quarter of the Eddie Robinson Classic, 20-0.
And you could almost see, if you look real closely at this score, the steam coming out of Lloyd Carr's ears as Notre Dame scheduled the game in front of the big Michigan game a week from now down in the Big House.
That's right. And we'll bring you that one next Saturday on ABC. Following our regional coverage at noon. Again, the quick open to Mills. He might score here. And doesn't quite. Down to the 3-yard line. So it's going to be 1st and goal with 1:39 left in the 4th quarter. And Arizona may avoid the shutout. Looked for a long time as though it was going to be in the bag, but that fumbled snap on Penn State's last possession gave Arizona one more crack at it. Last time Arizona was shut out was in '91 at Washington, 54-0. So they're trying to avert that here and trying to go home with something to build on for TCU. From the 3, full house backfield. Ortiz Jenkins on the bootleg, trying to put a move on, and he didn't get there. Lost his footing a little bit at about the 3-yard line, trying to dive forward and got it inside the 1. And we're almost inside 1 minute. 1:06 with the clock stopped. And
they're coming right now for you. Stay right there.
Officials.
I think Ascari Adams is down over there, number 18, the safety.
Yes, I could not see him down there in front of the cart. You're right.
Right, Cap? Okay.
The last thing you want to do is get somebody injured with 1:06 left in a lopsided blowout. And
well, I can tell you, but I know Dick Tomey's trying to get some points on the board for the good of his football team. But you wonder what it's really going to give you on a bootleg play like that, a naked. That doesn't show me anything. Right now, if I was Dick Tomey, I'd say, come on, you guys, stick it in the end zone. We're going to run our base plays, and you show me that you can buckle it up and finish this game off right now. I'd run right at them until they either have to lose downs or finish it off. A naked bootleg, I mean, anybody can do this anytime. You can see Ascari right there. He kind of gets rolled over, and really, it looked very innocent that time.
He went off under his own power. I think he just got dinged a little bit on the roll. Maybe got a knee in the head. At any rate, full house backfield. Winnick and Wendler up there. Leo Mills, the tailback. It's Mills. Arizona has gotten on the board. It took them all the way to the 47-second mark remaining to get their first score of the afternoon.
Good call. You stick it up in there.
Yep. Use a little power and try to come off the ball. And Leo Mills, who really may have had a better day than Trung candidate today, gets it in the end zone for Arizona.
One of the changes I think that Dick Tomey and Dino Babers, the offensive coordinator, is going to have to look at is whether Trung candidate can take short yardage running, goal line running, and still be the effective home run hitter that they need as they enter the last 10 games of their season. One of the changes I think you'll see made, I'm just predicting, is you're going to see more of Mills running short yardage.
I think you're right. 47 seconds left. And Joe Paterno's been here more than that many years. 50th year anniversary for Joe Pa, the Principal Financial Group. Look back. Nothing changes much. That look hasn't changed much. There have been so many big victories, including today's. It'll be number 308. Wins against other legendary coaches. And, of course, a couple of national championships as well, including that one in '83 in the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, which is where he would like to get at the end of this season in the Nokia Sugar Bowl to end the year. 10 presidential administrations, 5 perfect seasons, over 200 NFL players. In fact, Hawaii and Alaska weren't even thinking about being states when this guy came to Happy Valley, but it has been quite a stay. He doesn't seem to change from year to year. He is one of the most engaging guys you'll ever want to meet to be around. I had somebody ask me about it the other day, and I said, I don't know how to explain it unless you get a chance to meet him and sit down and talk to him. It's kind of remarkable. It's a lot of fun.
And he remembers everyone.
Oh, absolutely.
He asked about my son, who he really has never met, but we talked about him once, maybe 6 years ago, and he asks every time I see him, and he's really a special guy. There has been some slight change, though, this year in Joe, Brad. For the first time, new recruits are not being told that he will be here for sure for 4 straight years. So you can see Joe not threatening retirement, but facing the reality that I don't want to lie to these kids in the future.
Fumble. Looked like Arizona got on top of it. Joe says as far as retirement, it might be 2 years, it might be 5 years, it might be 10 years. He said, that's the only thing I know how to do. I don't know how to do anything else, and I feel good about getting up to go to work every morning, so why quit? You can't beat that logic, can you?
No, I think you're right. You know, this is another interesting thing here. If Arizona puts another touchdown on the board here. Remember the game we did years ago in
Penn State,
Indiana? Cost them the national championship with late touchdowns in a game. 41-0. Just to the people who didn't watch the whole game, looks a lot different than 41-14.
Chris Ditto threw a couple of late touchdown passes, and all of a sudden that didn't look as good to the voters.
And they got jumped. I think they got leapfrogged in that game and never recovered.
Good point. Ortiz Jenkins drops back from the 20, fires out, completes, and close to another first down at the 10-yard line. President, executive producer of ABC Sports is Howard Katz. Senior vice president is John Filippelli. The coordinating producer of ABC's college football is Bob Goodrich. Today's game produced by Jay Rothman, directed by Chip Dean. Our technical director, Jeff Suarez. Margaret Schaefer, our associate producer. Our associate director, Fred King. Production managers, Joe Alvarado, Tanis Nelson. Pass to the end zone, tipped and broken up. Our technical operation manager, Jay Gleason. Assistants to the producer, Chapman Downs and Praven Martin. Our stat man, Pat McGrath. Clint Dean's our spotter. Craig Rothberg, our computer statistics today. College Football Today produced by Charles Coplin. College Football Today directed by Calvin Haywood. It has been a busy week in Happy Valley. It certainly is going to turn out happy for Penn State and sad for Arizona, as they're going to take their number 3 ranking in the nation and drop considerably from that lofty perch. Penn State certainly hasn't hurt themselves in their number 4 ranking with this pigskin performance today. Might be the last play or maybe 2 left in the ball game. Jenkins drops. OJ takes off on his own. He's going to be brought down at the 8-yard line. And that may just do it. 2 seconds with the clock stopped. And Arizona, I think, got one more timeout called with 2 seconds left, and obviously a chorus of boos from the folks here in Happy Valley.
That always cracks me up. All these fans are still here, yet they boo because the players want to play another play. Well, you know, shouldn't you leave if you don't want to see another play?
Chevrolet most valuable players of the game. Dennis Northcutt of Arizona. Shafi Fields, who dominated the first half of this game from his wide receiver spot, not only as a receiver but on those end arounds, including a 70-yard touchdown. Chevrolet donation will be made to each school's general scholarship fund to reward outstanding students for their academic achievements and to assist those in financial need. It's been a Chevrolet tradition for more than a quarter of a century.
Well, for Penn State today, Brad, you could have stuck your finger in the play in the media guide and come up with an MVP today, because they all played well.
Final play of the game of the 10th Pigskin Classic. Pigskin it was, Classic it wasn't. Jenkins incomplete. It's all over. All Penn State. The Nittany Lions dominate. Joe Paterno wins number 308 on his illustrious career. Final score, 41-7 Penn State. Coming up next, the Little League World Series. For Lynn Swan and Gary Danielson, I'm Brad Nessler. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com, part of the Go Network. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, continuing the tradition of excellence.